are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
No, you guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Come on, people. This is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
You lose your Dixon notch. Yeah. You lost America. I saw it etched on coins up here.
This is News Talk STL. Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Donald Trump gets a big ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. It's not even so much that he won and will have his name on the primary ballots across the country. It's that the Supreme Court sent a very clear message with a 9-0 ruling. How significant is that? At 7:05, we are going to speak with one of Donald Trump's lawyers who was involved in that very case before the Supreme Court. Will Scharf, as you know, he's running for Attorney General here in Missouri as well. He's going to be with us once again at 7:05. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Tuesday morning. Super Tuesday morning. Going to have a lot of political news happening throughout the next 24 hours or so, as we expect Donald Trump likely mathematically going to be so far ahead in the delegate count that it's over. I mean, it's been over for a little while, but it's really going to be over after today, most likely. By the way, speaking of politics, in Missouri, we've got the state legislative session happening. Not much going on so far, but is that going to change? State Representative Jim Murphy was on the program with us and gave us kind of the update from his perspective, including what can still happen with initiative petition reform. The good news is a really good proposal could go to the ballot. The bad news is the whole thing could fall apart and we don't get anything. Yeah, here's what he had to say. All right, the Missouri legislative session grinds on and on and on. What do we have to show for it, and what can realistically we have to show for it by the end of the session when that comes in May? Okay, Jim, so you're not quite to the spring break session or part of the session just yet. I mean, but that's generally halftime. And so if you're in the second quarter looking forward to halftime so you can get your break and go get some Gatorade or whatever the case is, you're looking at the scoreboard right now from what you want to accomplish. How do you feel right now as a Republican caucus at this point in this legislative session? We were worried that things were going to grind on and not a lot was going to get done, and that seems to be where we're at.
Well, things are starting to pick up now. If you look at what's going out probably this week out of rules, there's probably another 20-something bills out of the House. The Senate seems to be playing nice with each other for a small period of time. I think probably they're going to try to get some more stuff done, and probably blow it up towards the end because that's what they always do. They'll be closer to election time and there'll be more headlines they need, so they'll get a little crazier. But I have a great hope for the in-between. We're going to be sending a whole bunch of bills over there within this week. We're doing double sessions. So we're trying to get as much stuff out of the House as we possibly can, get it over to the Senate, and hopefully get it working before they decide to blow it up again.
Morning, Jim. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So what do you think is going to be able to get through before the break, or if anything? We did some stuff last week. We did the defund Planned Parenthood bill, which I thought was big. We've done some tax issue bills, and we've got a lot of stuff going over there. I've got a new immigration bill that passed out of committee last week, and hopefully that'll get on the floor and over to the Senate before the break. And there was another immigration bill by Representative West on legal trespass that's now going through rules. So we're going to get some stuff done. I was interested in your conversation on Jamie Gregg's bill.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to be careful. There's good ideas and good legislation, and frankly, his legislation, although it's a great idea, is so poorly written. I'm not sure that. Because it's so broad. I mean, literally, I think if a teacher said, you got to change your hairstyle, you could go to jail for 25 years.
But the concept,
the concept is great.
Yeah, that's because that's the thing that's been frustrating, I think, to so many of us. We're visiting with State Representative Jim Murphy. Is that you've got schools that are actively in the promotion and I would argue recruitment into this just destructive ideology. For somebody to say, you know what, if anybody else were to groom a child for sexual purposes, that's a crime. And so I love that somebody is saying criminal as opposed to, well, maybe you can get sued someday.
Yeah, in this case, they said, if you suggest a pronoun or suggest a haircut or suggest wearing something else, some other piece of clothing, you can go to jail for 25 years. Probably not the best way to put it. But the idea is good. It's a good way to start a conversation. And oftentimes that's what happens. We present a bill to start that conversation so that we can come out with good law on it. And I think that's what Jamie was trying to do here. But as written, it would be a terrible law because it would trample all over all types of rights of everybody. So, could be translated into something we probably, the unintended consequences of something when it's poorly written can be terrible.
Is it possible then that something that is passable that does invoke criminality into this? I mean, is it possible that could get a serious discussion? Because given what we've seen, from frankly, a lot of the leadership in the legislature, I question whether they would want to touch that hot potato, even though they should.
I don't know that it's a matter that you don't want to touch it because we've already touched it in so many different ways. We passed a transgender bill last year. It's what do you want to do this year? Do you want to spend your time on this, or do you want to get IP reform passed? Probably do want to get that before we take on another hot button subject. But I'm glad he filed it. It gets a conversation started. And I will tell you that, probably he'll get a lot of ideas as to how to make this bill better. And before it ever gets to a committee, have a substitute ready so that you can do it in the proper manner.
You mentioned IP reform. How close are we to getting what we really need to happen there?
Well, I think there's a lot of conversation back and forth between us now and the Senate. The Senate kicked the ball. They took what was a pretty darn good bill, and then they gutted it and said, "Oh, hey, House, bail us out now. Put it all back in." Well, there's going to be little sense of putting it back in if we send it over there and then it blows everything up and nothing else gets done. We still have other work we need to get done. So we need to get a pretty good idea as to what the Senate will do when we send it back if we improve it. And we're not going to let it go like it is. It's got to be improved. Because they gutted the bill.
That's actually the question I was going to have is it worth
accepting the bill as is just to take a step forward. But by the sounds of it, you're suggesting that it's actually an untenable situation the way the bill's currently written.
And what should go back into it that would make it worth the risk?
Right.
Well, you have to have something on there that on the ballot that will make the public understand that there's more involved here than just making it harder to pass an IP when there's more to this. The whole idea of should illegal immigrants be allowed to vote in our elections? The Constitution says that citizens should vote, but it doesn't say only citizens should vote. So this would clear that up. And if they're just voting on IP, make it harder, it's going to turn into an abortion bill. The outside state people are going to come in and spend millions of dollars saying, all the legislature is trying to do is prevent you from doing anything with abortion, and we will probably lose it at the ballot. And we're only going to get one shot at this, guys. If we don't do it right, then it's going to go down at the ballot. Then what do we do?
Are the conversations between the House and the Senate? Because here's what I'm worried about, and I'm worried about, and by the way, I think the language you're talking about, I absolutely agree. But here's what I'm worried about is you give the senators who have been the problem in the first place, some of the leadership there, you give them the excuse to run out the clock again and not put it on the ballot at all and kind of succumb to the chance to say, no, I tried. Look, I voted it out. But then they slow roll it. So it comes back to the question, is something better than nothing? And can we go back and get the rest later?
Well, it's probably something is not better than nothing because it won't pass on the ballot, and then you never have another chance to do it, which is terrible. Let's be clear: those people over there didn't gut that bill because they didn't like those provisions. They gutted that bill because they want to kill it.
Got it. Yeah,
and they've got to straighten that out on their end. They've got to make some deal on their end to get that passed, because no matter what we do on this side, it's going to run into that same brick wall when it gets back on the other side. And you talk about leadership. It's, Caleb Brown is expressed numerous times that he didn't think it was a great idea. And, he's got allies. So, they got to learn to get along over there and convince each other that this is the right thing to do. I have no idea why they can't pass this. I have no idea. Mary Elizabeth Coleman handled the bill, and when this bad amendment came up, she stood there quietly and didn't say anything about it. And I just don't understand why we're not standing on our head on that. Why did they pass out a terrible bill? I don't know. But now they've thrown it back at us, so we're going to take a vote and put all that stuff back in. But until they straighten out what their side of the building. I just have little hope that we're going to get stuff done.
You know what's funny, Jim, is that I've been doing this long enough that I remember when the House was the dysfunctional chamber, and now it's totally flipped.
Yeah, we'll argue amongst ourselves, but we always come to the right conclusion, I think,
or at least a conclusion.
All they do is call each other names. I mean, that's hardly statesmanship. We just got to get back to, if your idea is good enough to go, you should be able to convince your colleagues that it's a good idea. Apparently, there's no way of doing that over there other than saying you're just an idiot. Whatever.
All right, State Representative Jim Murphy. Hey, Jim, always glad to have you on. Thanks so much for the update.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get things going with your first morning news dump right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. That comes your way in just about 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is what's happening.
The St. Louis Business Journal is now reporting that liberal billionaire George Soros is the largest shareholder of Odyssey,
the parent company of KMOX and 97.1 Talk,
101.9 and 94.1.
Anyone listening should be advised.
News Talk STL.
It's a new year, so come check out the great financing offers going on now at Seavers JCB. Rates as low as 0.99% on nearly all JCB compact construction equipment, including the industry-leading JCB Teleskid. For details, go to SeaversJCB.com. Mini excavators, track loaders, small wheel loaders, and even the industry-leading JCB compact load all range. Seavers JCB has them all. Visit SeaversJCB.com for more information.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, KLAMEN Group.com, where we buy houses direct in as-is condition with no middleman involved. I recently bought a house from somebody that was embarrassed to let me in the door. There was stuff all over the place, and the entire house smelled like smoke. However, we were definitely able to see the potential. We gave them a great cash offer that they were very happy with. So if you have a house that isn't in the best shape, maybe in some disrepair, we're interested in making you an as-is cash offer. Please reach out today, KLAMEN Group.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
First Responders Children's Foundation takes care of the children and families the brave ones leave at home. Help us help them. These are the beautiful voices of police officers, firefighters, nurses, and teenagers who remind us that we can come together and create harmony and unity. Text BRAVE to 24365 to learn how you can help your first responder community today.
The tides are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, here we go. A rare unanimous decision from the Supreme Court gives Donald Trump a big win and completely neuters one of the left's biggest arguments.
And it was a shutout, which kind of surprised me.
That was the only thing that surprised me on that, is that it was, that's a good way to put it. It was a shutout.
Nice baseball.
And I know, but I got baseball in the brain, man. I'm playing this week. The trial of the man accused of costing Janae Edmondson her legs begins today. Got an update on that. Her mother literally just posted an update on their GoFundMe page literally about 10 minutes ago. So I'll have that for you in just a little bit here. And the Cardinals, speaking of baseball, $75 million pitcher had to leave yesterday's game a little bit early.
No, don't like to hear that.
No, nobody wants to hear this. We don't know if it's a big deal or whether it's nothing, but I'll tell you what's going on here. 5:52 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. That is Stel Ponticus right there, who also, whether he admits it or not, has baseball in the brain this time of year.
A little bit.
Admit it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. The Supreme Court rules that Donald Trump must be allowed to stay on the GOP primary ballots after Colorado's Supreme Court found him ineligible. The former president responded to the ruling in a speech from Mar-a-Lago.
You cannot take somebody out of a race. The voters can take the person out of the race very quickly, but a court shouldn't be doing that, and the Supreme Court saw that.
Okay, so the Colorado Secretary of State, her name is Jenna Griswold, is the one, of course, who ordered Trump off the ballot and then ended up winning at the state Supreme Court and just took a big L, lost 9-0 at the Supreme Court. She went on, guess where she went on to talk about the reaction?
I'm guessing either MSNBC or CNN.
That's it. You don't need to go any farther. She goes on MSNBC to give her reaction to the ruling.
My larger reaction is disappointment. I do believe that states should be able, under our Constitution, to bar oath-breaking insurrectionists. And ultimately, this decision leaves open the door for Congress to act to pass authorizing legislation. But we know that Congress is a nearly non-functioning body. So ultimately, it will be up to the American voters to save our democracy in November.
The funny part is the last 3/4 of what she said was accurate. It is up to Congress to pass laws to define, insurrection and all that sort of thing. It is up to voters to decide who's going to be the president. But she just took a massive loss because the Supreme Court went, what you're doing isn't anywhere near the Constitution. So
yeah, I've never been a Jenna Griswold fan since day one.
No.
She fought against Tina Peters, and she did a lot of stuff that was underhanded in Colorado. I've never been a fan of hers.
I don't know who Tina Peters is.
She's the one who fought for election integrity in Colorado.
Okay, got it.
And she really screwed Tina over. Oh. And also at the end, she says we're going to trying to save democracy. No, it's a republic, ma'am. It's not a democracy.
Right. Exactly. One of those again.
I'm being picky this morning.
Oh, man. Okay, well, here's the deal. 7:05, one of Donald Trump's key lawyers, the one who's actually doing like the legal work, not just the pretty face they put on TV, but the one actually doing the work, Will Scharf. He's running for Attorney General. He's going to be with us at 7:05 to talk about this ruling. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to ask him about the immunity claims as well.
Oh, good.
That the Supreme Court has taken up as well. So that's going to happen at 7:05. Make sure that you're here or you're back for that. Okay, now here's an interesting survey that was done. This one actually kind of surprised me. A large share of U.S. adults doubt the mental capabilities of both Joe Biden and Donald Trump.
A new AP NORC poll finds that more than 6 in 10 Americans are not very or not at all confident in Mr. Biden's mental capability to serve effectively as president. A slightly smaller share, 57%, says that Trump lacks the mental fitness for the job. Many respondents to the survey were deeply pessimistic about their likely choices in November because of age and the risk of cognitive decline. Biden is 81 years old and Trump is 77. Greg Clugston, Washington.
I didn't think it was actually going to do that survey. And I saw it this morning. I'm like, well, that's interesting. That's probably interesting to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so I do think probably the most poignant part of that is that there really are. And listen, if you got the red cap and you're MAGA, I get it. But I'm saying is understand that when you're talking to people, there are a lot of people looking at these two candidates going, this is what we've got. So that's who you've got to make the case to.
I'm going to say folks who downgrade Trump haven't seen him do any of his speeches. The guy does an hour and a half, and Biden can barely do 10 minutes. He does 2 hour and a half once. Mm-hmm. On Saturday, he did 2 speeches of an hour and a half and had the crowd pretty much listening every single second. I'm just saying, I think there's a big difference as far as mental capabilities. Yeah, age-wise, they're pretty close.
Oh, yeah, they are. I'm just saying is know who the voter base are, know who those independents are out there. That's that survey right there should be a little bit of a, I didn't think about that to a lot of people. Okay, let's see here. Oh, here, by the way, today is Super Tuesday.
Okay.
That's all I've got on that. Okay, are you scared yet? Yet another possible partial government shutdown is what? Looming, we're told. Now, while the antics of Congress are ridiculous, and I'm going to say Jenna Griswold was right, Congress is a barely functioning body. That is true. Former White House economic advisor Stephen Moore tells us that at some point, The political grown-ups have to restrain spending and set up a responsible long-term budget for the national government.
They're arguing about whether we should save 10, 20, or $30 billion. That's fine. But, God, we have to cut hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars out of this budget. We got to get the economy moving again. So I feel like this is just kind of arguing around the fringes of a political earthquake that we have to wake up, America, because this is as serious as a heart attack, what's going on in our country with the amount of debt that we're adding day after day after day after day.
Okay, now, of course, among the disagreements, Democrats are stalling the agreement on a spending plan or any progress towards one because they oppose some Republicans' demands to secure the southern border. I'm not going to say all Republicans' demands because there are some wishy-washy Republicans out there. All right, the trial of Daniel Riley starts today. He's accused of causing the downtown St. Louis crash that robbed Janae Edmondson of her legs just over a year ago. Riley, remember, was free on bond in a robbery case at the time and had violated the conditions of his release many times, yet he was still free on bond. In addition to the criminal charges against Riley, who was 21 years old at the time, the Edmondson family is suing the city of St. Louis. The criminal trial, is expected to wrap up by the end of the week. All right, took a shootout, but the Blues got the win in Philadelphia last night. Jordan Binnington, 40 saves.
Wow.
40. Yeah, in the 2-1 win. Blues are in New York tonight to play the Islanders. Puck drops at 6:30. Cardinals lost to the Nationals in spring training, but Sonny Gray had to come out of the game in the second inning with a tight hamstring. We don't know if it's a big deal or if it's nothing yet.
Oh, we don't like to hear hamstring.
Nope.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Spring into green with Seidenberger Nobe Partners. Accelerate your productivity with one of our John Deere compact tractors. Right now, take advantage of 0% financing for 84 months with zero down, featuring payments as low as $210 a month. From landscapes to farming, these compact tractors can handle a variety of tasks. Seidenberger Nobe, your partner for the land. snpartners.com.
Offer valid through 4/26/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. It is the biggest day on the presidential primary and caucus calendar. It is Super Tuesday.
16 states and one territory are holding presidential voting contests, and over a third of all the available delegates for both the Republican and Democratic nominations are at stake. In the GOP race, Donald Trump has 244 delegates heading into Super Tuesday, while Nikki Haley has 43. For Democrats, President Biden is not facing any serious challengers in his bid for the party's nomination. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And ahead of Super Tuesday, former President Trump easily won the North Dakota GOP caucuses, picking up another 29 delegates. He's also cheering the unanimous Supreme Court ruling that states do not have the power to bar him or any other federal candidates from the ballots.
I think it's a very big day for America. I think it's a very big day for liberty, and I think it's just a great day for this country. Again, I hope it's unifying like I think, but it's a big step toward unification.
Howls of protest from the left are countered by those who say that giving voters the right to elect the candidates of their choice is the very heart of democracy. We've heard quite a bit about communist China's struggling economy, but that's not stopping its military expansion. China is hiking its defense budget by 7.2% this year. That's similar to last year's increase. At $222 billion, it is the world's second largest military budget, just behind the United States. 5 people killed in last night's crash of a small plane near Interstate 40 in Nashville. The FAA and the NTSB are investigating. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 44 points. NASDAQ futures off 115. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A cold front slides through this morning. Spotty rain and storms slowly coming to an end, but stubborn clouds going to hang on for most of the day. Now behind this front, temperatures drop into the 50s and kind of hold steady there through the afternoon. Much cooler than yesterday's highs in the 70s. Partly cloudy and dry tonight, down to 43 early Wednesday morning. We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies. Tomorrow's high 62. More rounds of rain on the way from Thursday afternoon into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
With Old Man Winter blowing into the heartland, let me tell you, Hanson's Tree Service is here to help. Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. Look them up 24/7 at hansonstree.com. Do you have any tree problems at your home or your business? Overhanging branches? Have Hanson's and the gang take them down professionally so Old Man Winter doesn't. What about organic mulch? Hanson's Tree has got that in bulk. It'll save you in price and time. Incredibly convenient. Protect all those assets you've got in the ground and have Hanson's take care of everything above the ground for you as well. Get them out to your homestead or your business right now. hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the cleaning pros at Zero Res. It's time for spring cleaning, and there's no one that can help you with that more than the team at Zero Res, especially with this great offer. Book a cleaning in March, mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Plus, you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning and 20% off your upholstery, which is a service we've used many times. Just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
All right, Team Elon is now docked in outer space.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I told Gabe when he walked in, I got something for you this segment.
Yeah. This is my wheelhouse right here.
There it is. We'll get to that here in a couple minutes. All right, 6:05 right now. That's Gabe there. Got Stell here. I'm Mike. All right, one of Donald Trump's key attorneys, Will Scharf, going to be with us at 7:05 to discuss that unanimous ruling in Trump's favor that happened yesterday. That ruling came down, 9:30, 10 o'clock yesterday morning. And so the reaction across the board, I think, is one that I don't think anybody other than Keith Olbermann.
I saw that response from him.
Wow, what an idiot that guy is.
He's got problems.
Even Dana Bash on CNN or MSNBC or whichever one of those, she was on CNN, I think. Even she was saying, her words were something to the effect of, well, unfortunately, this is the correct ruling. That's literally what she said. So it is the correct ruling. Now, the fact is, and I want to ask Will about this in a little bit. It's one thing to get, a 5-4 ruling, a 6-3 ruling, a 7-2 ruling. They all have the same effect with the Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah.
Right. This was 9-0.
Yes.
Does that make a bigger difference?
My understanding is that's a big deal, but
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear what
Will has
to say. Yeah.
Yeah, because 3 of them pushed back a bit. The 3 that you would suspect
right. Yeah,
did
Soto-
actually push back in their statements
just a
afterwards.
little bit.
Yeah, Sotomayor and Kagan, and then
what's her name?
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
That's it.
Well, they had to give cover for.
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing is, of those 3, Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson are likely the most radical of the 3, and they're all pretty far left out there.
Mm-hmm.
But when they come to the same conclusion as Neil Gorsuch and Clarence Thomas, that that there's really no question here. And if you are the Secretary of State of the state of Colorado, Jenna Griswold, if you're the Colorado Supreme Court, if you are that judge in Illinois, now I'm not assuming they're going to feel any shame. They're going to be like, well, they're wrong, and me here in Cook County, I'm the expert. They're not.
By the way, she's just a traffic judge. That's about it up there. Believe it or not.
Oh, is that what her caseload generally is?
Yes.
Wow, nice.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, but when you've got 3 who are pretty far on the left on your side going, this ain't it, Chief.
Yeah, guys.
It felt like it was a reluctant agreement. Okay, fine. I guess yes. Okay.
But this is one of the brilliant things about the way that the founders set up our system. Okay, so the Supreme Court, and I've heard people argue we can't have lifetime appointments. These are actually some of the reasons, I would argue, some of the evidence why we should make them sort of immune from politics, because now Ketanji Brown Jackson, Elena Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor, they never have to worry about running for office. They never have to worry about political pressures. They can settle in and drift and evolve any way they want in their legal opinion, and there are no repercussions professionally for any of them. Now, they may have some friends mad at them. They may not get invited to the next party for something.
Right.
But this sort of immunity from the political repercussions is part of the brilliance, I think, of the Founding Fathers when they set up the system that they set up. Because all and those 3 that we've mentioned, and occasionally John Roberts, have a tenuous grasp on what the Constitution says, but all of them acknowledge this is the plain language of the Constitution. They didn't say somebody can't be banned from the ballot. They said, but Congress has to write the definitions and the rules for who's eligible and not. And since that has not happened, you don't have 50 different interpretations of what the 14th Amendment means. Somebody steps in and they said, we don't know what the 14th Amendment fully means, but this ain't it.
Yeah, I think this kind of went the way I was thinking it was going to go, the way I suggested a couple days ago, where they weren't going to, define a mechanism. I don't think they were going to do the work either to find it or to make one up. Certainly, that would have been a bit of an activist move. And I didn't think that they were going to punt on it or send or agree with the lower courts. I figured this is what they were going to do. They were going to rule it on basically jurisdictional lines.
Right.
This is a federal government thing. You states can't make determinations about federal government things, and that's pretty much what the decision said.
Yeah, and that's why you want originalists on the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, I don't believe that Ketanji Brown Jackson, Elena Kagan, and Sonia Sotomayor are originalists by any stretch of the imagination. I would question how much John Roberts is an originalist.
Yep.
But we still have a somewhat of a majority originalist on there. But in this case, they just simply got it right. Listen, for those of you, like for instance Dana Bash, who can't stand Donald Trump, for those of you who aren't Donald Trump fans, listen, I get that too. But this isn't actually about Donald Trump. And that's what I think I'm most interested in talking to Will Scharf about here in about an hour, is that it's really not just about him. This is about a much bigger picture as to, in a country that is becoming more divided, more partisan, more tribal, does electing a red or blue state government mean you're going to run rogue on national elections? And so this really puts some reins on the states, and the states should have more reins on the federal government, but it goes all different directions when it comes to checks and balances. So I think it's an important ruling. The fact that it's 9-0 gives the left no credibility to argue this particular side. Now they simply have to say their candidate's better than the other candidate.
Yeah, which is an interesting place for them to be right now. We'll just say it that way.
Yeah, so we're going to get into this a lot more throughout the day. All right, Gabe, I know you're eager to talk about this here. All right, so Team Elon is now aboard the International Space Station. Very, very early this morning this happened.
And there we can see Crew 8 being joyfully welcomed aboard the International Space Station.
All right, 4 astronauts of the SpaceX Crew 8 mission now on board after the Crew Dragon Endeavour docked with the space station early this morning. That is from NASA TV. Okay, so here's what they're doing. They're going to be there through August, and apparently these are going to be testing the ability of astronauts to handle long-duration space flights as America wants to go back to the moon, which you explained to me last week, in order to go to Mars.
Yes, that's the jumping off point. So yeah, this is the way these programs work. They work in multiple stages of advanced testing, new systems. Especially with the biological stuff. Dealing with humans who were basically we were made to live in 9Gs. with readily available
is that what we're in right now?
Oxygen. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sorry, 1G.
Okay.
It's 9 feet per second, something like that. Anyway, yeah, we were made to live on in the gravity of Earth, and living in microgravity does things to the body. So they need to understand what that does to people long term. I mean, we've known a lot of, obviously
we've had people up on the ISS for a long time.
We've been doing this for a while, but there are more complicated issues when we're talking about interplanetary space, moving, because right now they're in microgravity. There's still a little bit of a pull that the Earth is exerting on their bodies.
But they're still floating around, right?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That would be so cool.
It's pretty fun stuff, from what I can tell. But yeah, flying between here and the moon, first of all, is a big deal. And then from the moon to Mars, it would be an even bigger deal. There's a lot to that, and they're just making sure they dot all their I's and cross all their T's before they get underway on that.
So since this is SpaceX, does this mean that Elon Musk is funding this? This isn't a taxpayer-funded thing?
It depends. NASA, I believe, contracted out to SpaceX.
Oh, got it.
So, there's you get government contracts as a private business, and sometimes you get private contract. They're sending up satellites for their own Starlink system.
Right.
So that's privately funded, but it's funded by the people who subscribe to Starlink. There are other Verizon or something might have a telecommunications satellite they want to send up, so they'll contract out, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting even that NASA contracted out with Elon Musk and what's it called? SpaceX. Yeah, SpaceX. So I think that's interesting, and I like the fact that we're seeing the private sector involved in this. Just from a markets perspective, a markets dynamic, is that something that could advance our exploration more so than just relying on Congress to fund NASA?
Oh, absolutely. So long as there is a market drive to do these things, there's the reason that somebody will pay. That's going to expand, first of all, the innovation that's involved, and second, it's going to make doing it cheaper. If you notice, back in the day when it was all NASA, it was all government funded, these things would take, millions and millions and millions of dollars every trip. And they were talking about how difficult it is to do this, that, and the other thing. And Elon Musk comes along and is like, hey, I think we could do this better. And as an entrepreneur, because the money's coming out of his pocket, he figured out a way to do it a little bit better.
Yeah, sounds like it. All right. And then what's the goal to have something from the United States on Mars? Which, by the way, we talked about that rover that was put on the moon. It fell over.
Yes,
it face planted.
It's there's difficulty in driving a multi-wheeled drone.
Yeah,
thousands and thousands of
literally
miles
tripped over.
Well, yeah, yeah, it's difficult.
Boss, I got some bad news.
Like, dang it, I rolled it.
What did you do this time, Fred?
I rolled it over.
Now,
I don't know if it has a self-righting mechanism or anything like that, but
no, apparently it's just like,
oh, it's done.
It's like
toast.
It's like a turtle on its shell, man. It's
done. Really?
It's done.
Oh, they messed it up.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have me on the team. So.
That's right. That's what that was their mistake. Okay, but let's assume everything goes well on the moon. Then how long? What's the goal to be on Mars?
Last time I saw it was like 2030. something like that. They're looking.
That's actually fairly aggressive.
It's an aggressive schedule.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. 314-912-1019. Will Janae get justice in St. Louis? And by the way, I'm going to tell you something that is being offered by the city of St. Louis, but they don't really want you to know about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll tell you about that here around 6:20 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark. It is no more.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
To fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us off.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin Bob. Get up.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
Hey St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. My new primetime show will explore the collaboration between corrupt media and our corrupted political system. From manipulated elections, open borders, mandated medicines, and unconstitutional lockdowns, what is going on?
The Rob Carter Show.
Let's talk about it on The Rob Carter Show. Join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on News Talk STL.
Rob Carter, live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Catch my breath, close my eyes.
Man, I haven't heard this song in forever.
Cutting Crew.
Yeah.
Big MTV tune back in the 80s.
Yeah, everybody remembers I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight, but this was their slow song. But yeah. It's actually a pretty good band.
Oh, yes.
I had their
Cassette?
Cassette. I had their cassette.
At least you didn't have 8-track.
I did. Well, I was
you?
a kid. We had 8 tracks of like the big console thing in the living room.
Yeah.
So I had that we had that in the 70s. You know, it had a
record player,
record
TV
player on. Well, it didn't have a TV.
No TV.
That way, it had a record player. It had a AM, FM, and it had the 8-track. And this thing was massive. I think it weighed like 4,000 pounds.
It was a piece of furniture.
Yeah, it was a big, huge piece of furniture. You opened up the top. Very pretty piece of furniture.
Solid wood.
Very solid. Very great sound. But yeah.
Yeah, I love those things.
Oh, man.
Big speakers. And the big TVs, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I kind of miss that stuff.
Oh, man. All right, here's the question going to be answered this week. Will Janae get justice in St. Louis? Janae Edmondson's mother, literally about an hour ago, posted an update on GoFundMe. So I printed that out. I'll read that to you here in just a few minutes.
Okay.
By the way, rightfully we are demanding that crime just be addressed all over the country, basically in the big cities and in the blue states. Crime's on the rise. We know that. It's getting more blatant. It's more violent. It's more just in your face. But can we address it the wrong way and actually end up giving government too much power in the name of keeping us safe? Is that a possibility? Yeah, we're going to have that conversation at 6:35. By the way, it's 6:21 right now. Okay, just real quick here. Both St. Charles County and St. Louis City are accepting applications to freeze those property tax bills for seniors.
Really? Already?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's like I said. Remember, we had that debate over that law. It got passed. It was kind of watered down.
Yeah.
But it ended up getting passed, and then the different cities and the different counties were under all this pressure to freeze property taxes for those above a certain age. So let's start with St. Charles County, because I think they say, hey, bring it on. Give us your application. They know that attracting people who are near or at retirement age is actually a really good thing for their growth, because you know what the older folks do?
What?
They buy food and groceries and stuff. They are stable. They don't commit crimes.
Yes.
You know, that sort of thing here. They generally own their homes outright. So here's the thing. In St. Charles, if you are at least 62 years old, if you were 62 years old on January 1st specifically, you can freeze your property tax bill if you qualify, meaning if you don't live in like a huge $10 million house or something like that. So they are now accepting applications for the county's senior property tax freeze program, and you can go to their website, which is sccmo.org, or you can email proptaxfreeze@sccmo.org to get more information about that.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. The city of St. Louis now is doing the same thing as well. Theirs is really scaled back, and they're not really advertising it, but
no kidding.
It's there. So if you go to the city's website there as well, you will be able to find that application. It's not going to save you as much, but it will save you something if you're at least 62 years old as of January 1st. If you turn 62 later on this year, then it starts next year for you, and you can get part of your property taxes frozen, because there are like some entities like the schools, which is the biggest one anyway, that they're kind of letting off the hook on this. So it's not as good of a deal, but it's something at the very least.
What's that website again?
For the county or the city?
County.
For the county, it is sccmo.org.
All
And then
right.
the city, you just go to the city's website as well. Channel 5 has the story on their website.
There you go.
As well. Okay, jury selection is done for the trial of Daniel Riley. Now, this is the guy that police say, and I have to point out, and I have to say police say because he hasn't been convicted yet, that he was the one driving the car at that insane rate of speed just over a year ago, February of last year, causing the crash that pinned Janae Edmondson up against the concrete and cost her both of her legs. So he goes on trial today. Now, remember, he was out on bond of a violent crime accusation. He was out on bond of a robbery charge.
Right, already.
Just so people understand, robbery is when you go face-to-face with somebody and rob them.
Yeah, and tell them, give me your stuff. kind
Right.
of thing. Yeah.
You know, either with a threat or with a weapon or whatever. But that's burglary is when you sneak into somebody's house or car when they're not there and steal stuff. That's a legal definition, but they're different things.
Yes.
So robbery means that he did something violent. Okay. So he's going on trial today. He was 21 years old at the time, which means he's 22, maybe 23 now, but probably 22. He had violated his release terms many times. One of the local TV stations did a Freedom of Information Act request, and they estimated that he had violated the terms of his release over 100 times.
Oh, my gosh.
And the reason they knew this was because of the ankle monitor.
Right.
So they knew that they were being alerted, and of course, Kimberly Gardner was the circuit attorney at the time, and they just were not worried about things like that. And then Janae Edmondson has this tragedy. She's in town for that volleyball tournament, and so everything happens there. Now, just a little bit earlier this morning, Janae's mother, Marilyn, on their GoFundMe page posted this. She said, I usually try to keep this about Janae's progress, but today, please pray for my family as we start court proceedings. Janae has never seen the person who hit her that day.
Gosh.
It's going to be difficult for us all, but especially for her. Please pray for God to uplift us during this time. Thank you so much. And then it was hashtag justice for Janae, pray for Janae, and then hashtag thanks be to God. So Janae Edmondson is now in the process of getting some updated prosthetics, because I'm watching the updates on the GoFundMe. I've set it up to where I'm getting emailed from the GoFundMe page. So that's happening. So they're expecting this trial to end on Friday. There's so much evidence. You never want to predict, but I can't imagine that Daniel Riley is not going to be convicted, and he's facing, I believe it was 5 charges. Let me double check. I've got the form. Yeah, 5 counts, second-degree assault, operating a vehicle without a valid driver's license, armed criminal action, 2 counts of fourth-degree assault. He pled not guilty, but that's just a formality. So right now the trial is going to be basically about, once he's convicted, how long is the sentence going to be?
I'd like to point out how that ankle monitor did not prevent him from doing further damage to society, to an individual, to our feeling of safety in the public, all those things. So every time they talk about, we're letting them out on bail, but they're going to have an ankle monitor. Yeah, you see how much that means?
Right.
It means nothing.
Right. And so, assuming he's convicted, which I think he will be.
Yeah.
Let's say even he gets a long sentence. Well, I don't think he will. But let's say he gets 10 years. Let's say he gets 15 years. I mean, I would be a little surprised if it's 15 years, but let's say he gets 10 years. Is that justice?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
Because the thing is, when you irrevocably change somebody's life that way, it's the penalty's got to be severe. Because the thing is, even with a 10-year sentence, that's still 6 years served,
6 or 7
before he can be walking the streets again.
Right.
It doesn't feel like justice. to
Yeah,
me,
so he'll
sure.
be in his 20s and then still free.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
no.
So now remember, the Edmondson family is also suing the city of St. Louis. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I hope they gut punch the city of St. Louis financially.
Absolutely.
I mean, I hope they win such a big settlement that the city has to look around and say, "What program are we going to cut?" I mean, that's how hard I think. Now, what'll happen is the lawyers for Janae Edmondson's family will end up negotiating with the lawyers for the city of St. Louis, and then the insurance companies are going to come in and they're going to say, well, this is what our formula says. Here's what our offer is going to be.
Right.
And if you want to spend $50,000 suing us, well, then you go right on ahead. You may or may not win. So that's probably how this typically works. The GoFundMe page, by the way, has raised over $837,000 to help pay for Janae's prosthetics and changes to their home and the therapies and all that kind of stuff. So, but I really do hope that this is such a clear-cut case that the city of St. Louis learns the hard way. And I've had people say, Gabe, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree, they said, well, why are you punishing the taxpayers? Because you elected the people who let this happen.
Yes, you're responsible. I mean, this is the thing. We keep saying this, and it on some level it feels a little bit like Schadenfreude. Just like we said, we've been telling you not to elect these people. We've been telling you not to sign on to this ideology. We've been telling you to watch out for these Soros-funded prosecutors and things like that. But you didn't listen, and here you are, kind of reaping the whirlwind. But so. On like I said, on one level, it's kind of Schadenfreude. It's like you get what you deserve kind of thing. But at the same time, you have to learn from your mistakes. And sometimes it takes somebody on the outside to point it out and say, hey, do you know why you're in this really bad situation and you're suffering? You got this program that's been cut because of the taxes, because of the insurance claim that they have, because of this big lawsuit. All of these things. You know why that's happening? Because you elected those guys. So let me show you an alternative. That's kind of where we need to take this, because it's unsustainable, the path that the city is on right now, and they keep re-electing the same garbage people into those positions.
Can you imagine if Kimberly Gardner were still the prosecuting, if she were still the circuit attorney? Daniel Riley would probably be offered a plea deal.
He'd be out on bail right now. Getting a plea deal offer.
Yeah. Now, here also, let's not forget the human part of this. Janae Edmondson was 16, I think, at the time, 16 or 17.
Yeah, something like that.
So she's a freshman in college, which, by the way, she had a scholarship to play volleyball.
Yeah.
She still does. The university that recruited her, even though she lost her legs, they honored the scholarship, even though obviously she can't play.
That's just them being nice.
That's them. That's them. Doing. It's not. Some people say, let's doing right by her. Well, they didn't have a responsibility. They chose to do it. That really is a step above, because that scholarship could have gone to somebody else, and so they chose to stick with it, which I really admire.
Yeah.
It's a D2 level school,
which is a pretty good level of volleyball.
That's pretty high level.
That's pretty high level of volleyball.
Yeah.
And so, can you imagine, though? You've got a teenager. She's going to go in a wheelchair into this courtroom, and she's going to be just feet away from the young man who took it all away.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. it's like her mother said in the GoFundMe post. Like, this is going to be hard on her.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It's going to be terrible. So yeah, first of all, be in prayer, but second, absolutely. If there's anything that we can do otherwise, give to the GoFundMe. But I feel like I need to call somebody and yell at them in the city. Is there anybody I could call and yell at, Mike?
Right. Well, anybody who was protesting in favor of Kimberly Gardner when remember, because the state came in and Andrew Bailey's the Attorney General's office and the governor, they came in and removed her. They used
That's true.
They took it to court. They filed the paperwork. And so for all of those who are complaining about, oh, yeah, you Republicans don't like local control, do you? Well, sometimes they had to come in and save you from yourselves.
Yeah.
St. Louis City.
Mm-hmm.
And so
and save people like Janae.
Yeah. And so Gabe Gore seems to be doing the work. Now, whether or not he'll get elected when the time comes around this year remains to be seen, but we'll find out. All right, just ahead here, speaking of crime, speaking of violence, St. Louis City isn't the only one dealing with it. You can go to any major city in the country, and you can go to blue states all over the place. But what happens if we are so eager to deal with crime that we give government too much power? So we got to watch out for those unintended consequences. We're having that conversation at 6:36 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's you in a minute. Ooh. Then you know you're in it. Ah. I've been in love before. I've been in love before. The hardest part is when you're in it. I've been in love before.
Even we don't know what he's going to do next.
My name is ivermectin hydroxychloroquine. Hi, Ken. How are you?
Vic Forcelli.
Good morning, trucker.
I'm monoclonal antibodies.
Yes.
Live and local weekday mornings at 9.
We call Mo.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A cold front slides through this morning. Spotty rain and storms slowly coming to an end, but stubborn clouds going to hang on for most of the day. Now, behind this front, temperatures drop into the 50s and kind of hold steady there through the afternoon. Much cooler than yesterday's highs in the 70s. Partly cloudy and dry tonight, down to 43 early Wednesday morning. We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies. Tomorrow's high 62. More rounds of rain on the way from Thursday afternoon into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
It's Lincoln Day in St. Charles County. This is Tim Jones inviting you to join News Talk STL and U.S. Senator Josh Hawley on Friday, March 22nd at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Charles. Cocktails, dinner, Senator Josh Hawley, and a room full of fellow conservatives. It will be a great, fun night. Just log on to stcharlesgop.com for more details and to purchase tickets, and we'll see you there. That's Friday, March 22nd at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Charles. stcharlesgop.com, stcharlesgop.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
We will defend our state's rights to protect our people.
News, analysis, opinion.
Crooked Joe Biden, you're fired.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one
For conservative talk. News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Especially with the proliferation of social media, almost in real time, we get video, we get audio, we get witnesses, we get true statements, we get, frankly, false statements about major crimes that happen in our country. Matter of fact, here's a trivia question for you, a trivia answer for you. The most popular podcast platform in the world is true crime. We tune in when there is an emotional story about crime, but what do we do about crime? Interesting op-ed that I found with our friends at the R Street Institute says, don't let crime fears lead to new government abuses. Well, we want to stop crime, right? So what are the chances that we take with it? That's what we're talking about right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. I'm now joined by Stephen Greenhut. He is a resident senior fellow at the R Street Institute who wrote this op-ed. And Stephen, appreciate you being on the program. We have a very visceral, emotional reaction when crime trends up. We see what's happening in the major cities in the country. We want government to do something, and that's not always bad. What you're arguing is don't do maybe too much even, or don't do the wrong thing. There's got to be a balance in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is getting the government to do the right thing is always a challenge. Even when it has the ideas correct, implementation is always a failure. But, I'm in California, and we've had, over the years, with our initiative process, and we've embraced some pretty dramatic criminal justice reforms that go both ways. So back in the 80s and early 90s, crime was soaring, and we passed the toughest in the nation, 3 strikes and you're outlaw, a variety of other tough on crime proposals. And eventually, we had such high incarceration rates that in the last few years, and the crime rate had fallen to the lows that we haven't seen since the 60s. And then the pendulum swung back the other way, and we embraced all sorts of criminal justice reform, some of which I support and are good ideas, but a lot of them might not be. So we're just kind of swinging back and forth based on the understandable emotions. I mean, we all want to be safe. Crime is obviously, has victims. So not to make light of any of that. And if you get public policy wrong in that area, people can pay with their lives. However, I was just reminding people that some of the rules that we pass in these frenzies have an impact on our liberties. And one of those, it was prompted by a Reason magazine article about civil asset forfeiture. And that I've covered that quite a bit in my newspaper work. And it's just an absolute absurd abuse where government can take your property and then you have to sue the government to get it back. And you don't have to have committed a crime. They just take the property, allege that it may have been used in the commission of a crime, and it's all theirs. It's like it's just the wrong incentive. It's turned the whole government into the version of the small town Southern cops who, with their speed traps, except they're taking massive amounts of property. And that came out of the Reagan era drug wars. So I'm just cautioning against getting carried away, because with the retail crime, highly publicized problems we have in San Francisco and LA, we're seeing some real far-reaching pushback in the other direction.
Well, you mentioned the soaring crime of the 80s and 90s, and some would argue it seems like we're dealing with that across the country right now. And so a reaction is do something, protect our businesses, protect our economy, protect our lives. We've seen the violence in the large cities, and this gets attached to a variety of different sources. But it comes down to, a lot of cases, policy, and people are saying, okay, if we have rising crime, if this is changing, then we need to change the government's approach to it. So how do we assess what's going to be the right approach to deal with the rising crime that threatens people's property and lives and physical health versus one that also keeps in mind our civil liberties and constitutional rights?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Trying to get it right. I'd argue that police and prosecutors have plenty of tools at their disposal, and sometimes you need to tweak a law here or there. I mean, California passed Proposition 47 a few years ago. I think it was almost a decade ago, which removed certain crimes from felonies to misdemeanors. It was targeting lower level crimes. And a lot of the conservatives have blamed it for an uptick in, well, they blame it for everything, but they more legitimately can blame it for an uptick in some, retail crimes because it raised the amount to $950. It was $400. That would trigger a felony. Of course, California's threshold is still lower than most states, but we're seeing, some criminals just doing a variety of $949 thefts over the course of a day. So I think it's reasonable to try to aggregate those. So if somebody's repeatedly stealing amounts just below the threshold, that you could prosecute them as a felony. There are things, you always need to tweak the crime code, but we shouldn't get we shouldn't let emotion drive it as much as it has in the past. And when I worked at the San Diego Union Tribune, I remember I did a deep dive on crime statistics. And if you want your head to explode, that's a good thing to do, because criminologists really don't have a clue on what causes crime to go up and down. There are so many factors. Some involve policing and prosecutorial approaches, but not as much as you think. There are demographic issues and age issues. There are all sorts of things. And we saw during the pandemic, we saw this crime spike that no one could quite explain. And now crime's falling back a little more, and then it's going up again, and then it's highly localized. The crime rates, we looked at crime rates, in Southern California, and anyway, it varies greatly between communities, and some of the tough on crime communities have higher increases in crime. So it really does make your head spin. So we have to be careful what we do.
We are visiting with Stephen Greenhut from the R Street Institute. So in the last couple of minutes that we have here, Stephen, if you're looking for a framework to make communities, to make society in general safer with less crime, we're never going to get rid of it, obviously. Is it a matter of soft on crime versus tough on crime, or is there a different framework with which we should approach the entire problem, since, crime and different types of crimes go up and down?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just hit on it exactly. I mean, too often, the tough on crime was driven by emotion, and I'm not saying it wasn't understandable, but it's always driven by people with political agendas. So we had this kind of conservative political push, and a lot of the criminal justice reform movement we've seen is driven by I've talked to some of these folks some people who don't believe anyone ought to be in prison. So it's driven by ideology. And on the conservative side too, it's also often driven by prison guards unions and police unions and people with interests, and it cuts both ways. So I think we need to be calmer, take a look at the data. And I know at R Street, we try to do a lot of data. I mean, it doesn't surprise you to realize that crime policy is not concocted by people who sit and look at the crime data and try to see what works and what doesn't. It's driven by public perception and politicians. And I'm not saying you can get away from that, but we ought to try. We ought to try to look at the data, see what works, see what doesn't work. And try to have a more moderate approach, because I had pointed to that asset forfeiture that came in the 80s, and it's still wreaking havoc on us. And we despite a series of reforms, the government's still doing it because it's so lucrative to take private property and keep it. that it's hard to reform. So if we do the wrong thing, it could be with us for another 40 or 50 years.
All right. The article is called "Don't Let Crime Fears Lead to New Government Abuses." It was written by Stephen Greenhut at the R Street Institute. All right, Stephen, if people want to follow your work and your colleagues, let's start with R Street Institute. Where can we find that? And do you have any personal websites, social media, anything like that? People want to get in touch or have questions.
Yeah, go to rstreet.org. And you'll find pretty much everything we do over there.
All right, Stephen, really appreciate the insight because, a lot of times we see things that are horrible and they're happening everywhere. The reaction is do something. And sometimes do something doesn't answer the other question, which is, well, do what? And that's what we need to get the conversation going the right direction on. So once again, Stephen Greenhut, resident senior fellow at the R Street Institute. Again, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, what do you think? We talk a lot about the pro-criminal approach that the left has, and they do. We're seeing the results of that everywhere. But when we say do something, are we talking about needing a whole bunch of new laws and new rules, or is it a matter of, like Stephen said, you've got to look at what's available right now? I mean, in St. Louis alone, prosecute the criminals. That would be a good start. And maybe we don't need a whole bunch of new laws. Maybe we need to reform the laws on the books right now. What do you think? Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones here. I'm with Eric from Newsteaders, Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, Newsteaders has been around since 1961. Tell us the story.
Well, Richard started this 62 years ago, and we've stayed a local family-owned store since then. We've actually got 3 generations of Newsteaders working in the store. Richard, his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter, and we all love what we do. We're kind of a St. Louis family tradition, and we do a lot of unique and one-of-a-kind custom pieces, as well as repairs. There's basically nothing that we can't do, and all of our work is done on site, so you can feel secure knowing that your jewelry never leaves, which is unusual now. And we can computer generate images of custom pieces if you want to go custom. We can take that old jewelry that you're not wearing, and we can turn that into something new that you absolutely love.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders Fine Jewelers.
Great news for my sponsor, Napoli Sea. And it's no surprise to me nor hundreds who have dined there. The first time I entered, it was clear Napoli Sea is unique. The decor, the fish, imaginative cocktails, and of course Napoli Sea is right next door to Napoli 3 in St. Charles. Napoli 2 is in Town and Country. The original Cafe Napoli is in Clayton, and I'm honored to endorse each of them. Visit any of the Cafe Napolis.
Katie here, and I'd like to talk to you guys about Michael's Flooring Outlet. You could gain peace of mind with Michael's Flooring Outlet for your flooring and carpet installation needs. Their team of experts ensures that the job is done right the first time, providing you with attentive and a personalized service. Just like my parents, you can trust them to replace your old carpet with beautiful hardwood flooring. Visit one of their 3 locations in Dardenne Prairie, St. Peters, or Creve Coeur, or check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns, whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today. Solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking my back just to know your name. 17 tracks and I've had it with this game.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
All right, here we go. Rare unanimous decision from the Supreme Court gives Donald Trump a big win yesterday. Here's what happened. The Supreme Court ruling former President Trump will be allowed to stay on GOP primary ballots across the country. That is after Colorado's Supreme Court found him ineligible. The former president gave an address in Mar-a-Lago in Florida, and here's part of what he had to say.
You cannot take somebody out of a race. The voters can take the person out of the race very quickly, but a court shouldn't be doing that, and the Supreme Court saw that.
Okay, so that case that was decided was the Colorado case, and Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold went to, who else? MSNBC, to react to the ruling where she took a big old 9-0 loss.
My larger reaction is disappointment. I do believe that states should be able, under our Constitution, to bar oath-breaking insurrectionists. And ultimately, this decision leaves open the door for Congress to act to pass authorizing legislation. But we know that Congress is a nearly non-functioning body. So ultimately, it will be up to the American voters to save our democracy in November.
Oh, I guess voters should decide then. That's the conclusion she came to.
So the democratic process?
Yeah, that's That's kind of what the Supreme Court ruled.
That's kind of what we said
as well. There,
you big dummy.
You know, the funny part is that that was a 28-second soundbite. The first 9 seconds was just nonsense. The last 18 seconds or so actually was correct.
Yes. Oddly enough.
Yes, Congress is the one under the Constitution authorized to decide who and what is an insurrection or insurrectionist. That has not been written. Therefore, the court ruled that states don't get to do it.
Right.
She's also right that Congress is a barely functioning body right now.
That's true.
And then she's also right that voters will decide.
Yeah, that was also true.
So I don't think her statement was as impactful as she thinks it's going to be for those on the left.
Well, the first half was a little bit incongruous to the second half.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit. You work on your lawyering there, lady.
Yeah. All right. Well, she's Secretary of State. You know, it's funny because she's I was watching the interview with her. I do this. I watch parts of MSNBC because you don't have to. And she was just staring blankly at the camera. Well, she was, I mean, she knew it was a friendly interview, but it was just a bizarre, sort of dynamic that was happening. Everybody knew she was going to lose this case.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Well,
knew that.
clearly.
Yeah. All right. Now, here's what's interesting about this is a survey that was done that I didn't actually know somebody was doing. A large share of U.S. adults doubt the mental capabilities of both President Biden and former President Trump. I'm going to get your thoughts on this here in a second, Gabe.
A new AP NORC poll finds that more than 6 in 10 Americans are not very or not at all confident in Mr. Biden's mental capability to serve effectively as president. A slightly smaller share, 57%, says that Trump lacks the mental fitness for the job. Many respondents to the survey were deeply pessimistic about their likely choices in November because of age and the risk of cognitive decline. Biden is 81 years old and Trump is 77. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. So, but I guess the propaganda campaign is working. I had seen a number of headlines talking about the quote unquote decline of President Trump or former President Trump. Occasionally, those things might be trending on Twitter or something like that. Oh no, Trump's mind is losing his mind or something like that.
I sure haven't seen evidence of it.
I haven't either. So
I don't know.
I mean, he's had a couple slips here and there, but nothing compared to Biden.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Nikki Haley was not in charge of the security on January 6th, just so we know. Just to point that out there.
True.
And he wasn't talking to his wife Melania. It was Mercedes Schlapp.
Oh yeah, that was just taken out of. Yeah, they just lied about that one.
So
yeah, without a
and
doubt.
then never apologized either.
Right.
Just saying. Not that I was expecting one.
Right. No, I wouldn't expect that. By the way, today is Super Tuesday. Just so you know.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And Krispy Kreme Donuts, I've read, is apparently offering 2 donuts for Super Tuesday.
Ooh, baby.
And you don't have to be in a Super Tuesday state to do it. So.
Krispy Kreme.
There you go, man. Let's see here. In a shootout, the Blues got the win over the Flyers last night. Jordan Binnington with 40 saves in that game.
Benny.
Will Sharp, Donald Trump's lawyer, just ahead.
Missouri education officials must be bad poker players. They keep doubling down on the same bad bet. Public school students haven't been reading or doing math at their grade level for way too long. Last year, a horrifying 40% were regarded as not college or career ready after high school. Many states have adopted school choice. Iowa, Oklahoma, and Arkansas all provide money so families can choose the public or private school that works for them. And Kansas has one of the strongest public school choice programs in the nation. Nearly every family in Missouri has given exactly 2 choices for their children's education. They're assigned public school or learning online. That's it. Our neighbors trust their parents to choose the right school for their kids. Missouri doesn't. So enrollment is already shrinking. That will mean fewer high school graduates, college students, and workers. A bad bet indeed. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. President Biden and former President Trump are looking to solidify their re-election bids in Super Tuesday voting. White House correspondent Greg Clugston says voters in 16 states and 1 territory casting ballots today.
Biden and Trump are the front runners in their respective parties, and that trend is expected to continue. But neither will be able to claim the presumptive nominee title after Super Tuesday's voting. The earliest that could happen is next week for Trump, or later in the month for the president.
St. Anselm College political analyst Chris Galdieri says a Super Tuesday sweep by Mr. Trump would move him a lot closer to the GOP nomination.
If we are at the end of the vote counting on Super Tuesday talking about how Trump has basically swept the Super Tuesday states, it's really tough to see how this ends in anything other than a Trump nomination.
Lawmakers in Alabama looking to restart in vitro fertilization services in the state.
The Alabama House of Representatives and the Senate are debating legislation today to protect IVF providers from lawsuits and criminal prosecution for the damage or death of an embryo. Many IVF providers in the state stopped providing services to patients after the Alabama Supreme Court ruled last month that 3 couples whose frozen embryos were destroyed in an accident at a storage facility could pursue wrongful death lawsuits for their extrauterine children. I'm Donna Warder.
Rising tension in the disputed South China Sea, where a Chinese and a Philippine Coast Guard vessel have collided. 4 Filipino crew members suffered minor injuries. Also today, word that Communist China is boosting its military budget again, just over 7% increase this year. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures are down 96 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Jessica, this is the happiest day of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV and insured it with Progressive. Man, I love that thing. There are a million fish in the sea, which I'm reminded of every time I bring my RV to the lake, but I vow to love and cherish you just as much as I cherish campsites with full electric and water hookups. I'm so sorry.
Protect your beloved with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at ReliefFactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com. Be the next success story.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A cold front slides through this morning. Spotty rain and storms slowly coming to an end, but stubborn clouds going to hang on for most of the day. Now behind this front, temperatures drop into the 50s and kind of hold steady there through the afternoon. Much cooler than yesterday's highs in the 70s. Partly cloudy and dry tonight, down to 43 early Wednesday morning. We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies. Tomorrow's high 62. More rounds of rain on the way from Thursday afternoon into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you could start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So, get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
Big news out of the Supreme Court on Monday, and that is that by a 9-0 decision, the efforts in Colorado, Illinois, Maine, you could also argue Hawaii, are basically struck down when they try to remove Donald Trump off of the primary ballot coming up. Now, even if you're not a lawyer, you knew what they were doing was likely unconstitutional. The Supreme Court moved very quickly because there are very large questions that go beyond 2024 and beyond Donald Trump. Let's talk about that and a couple of the other legal entanglements that the former president is in right now. with one of his attorneys, part of his legal team. I'm Mike Ferguson. I am now joined by Will Scharf, who is on Donald Trump's legal team. And Will, appreciate you being on the program. First, just on Monday, Supreme Court comes out and says 9-0 ruling. Illinois, Colorado being the state in question here. Other states cannot remove Donald Trump from the ballot. Let's go with the basics first. Is this sweeping and affects the entire nation? This is not limited to Colorado, as I understand it.
That's correct. This effectively strikes down all of these state efforts that we've seen to push President Trump off the ballot. It's Colorado, it's Maine, it's Illinois, as you said. The Supreme Court spoke with a unanimous voice in rejecting those efforts. These states do not have the ability to hold President Trump off the ballot and frankly frustrate the ability of the American voters to choose who their next president's going to be. So I think this was a great day, a resounding victory for President Trump, but also for the Constitution and the rule of law. And I think it's important not to lose sight of that.
What was it specifically from a legal perspective that the Supreme Court rejected? Was it the definition of insurrection? Was the interpretation of the 14th Amendment? Because as I understand it, and I'm not an attorney, there's room for somebody being kicked off the ballot down the road if they are constitutionally deemed to have violated, something, but they just said, this ain't it.
So what the core holding of the Supreme Court's opinion is that states lack an independent ability to enforce Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. That's this insurrection provision. So while Congress could pass a law, as they did in 1870, actually, to bring into effect that provision of the 14th Amendment, states can't just go out all willy-nilly and make a decision about who's an insurrectionist and who's not. That's not the process that the 14th Amendment sets up. And the Supreme Court spoke pretty decisively on that point. In terms of the path going forward, the majority, the per curiam opinion here, which 5 justices signed on to, seems to indicate that Congress would have to pass new legislation to bring into effect this provision of the 14th Amendment. We agree with that, of course, and I think it's highly unlikely that that will occur on any sort of time frame that could affect the 2024 election. So all in all, this is a resounding win. It's a vindication of the core system of federalism that we believe underlies the 14th Amendment here. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, I think this issue is done and dusted and resolved, certainly for the purposes of the 2024 election.
Is the fact that it was 9-0 completely unanimous important in a different way, or does that matter beyond the legal sphere?
Justice Barrett, in her concurring opinion, said that that's exactly the message that the American people should take away from this decision, that on this core question of constitutional law, the Supreme Court was ruling unanimously. And I think that's really important because we've heard breathless commentary from leftists in the mainstream media that Trump's an insurrectionist and he needs to be kicked off the ballot. We've heard even pretty serious legal commentators on the left give air and give voice to this argument that he could be kicked off the ballot for years now. And even Justices Kagan and Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson said, that's just not the way the system works. So I think it's great that we won. I think it's even better that this was a unanimous decision that hopefully the whole country will be able to accept and come around to and see as the correct legal judgment that it was.
Is there anything that a candidate could be kept off the ballot for in future elections? Because like I said, this isn't about necessarily just 2024 or Donald Trump, although that's obviously the main focus right now, but this is setting a standard for future elections.
That's correct. With respect to this insurrectionist argument, you would need to see implementing legislation passed by Congress and signed by the president through the normal process that bills go through that would set up a process to do that. That's actually what Congress did in 1870 and what they haven't done more recently. That's what the court seems to be queuing on. That the 14th Amendment sets up a system. That system hasn't been followed here. And it's a system that would be difficult to implement now. I think the court doesn't want to set up a situation where candidates can be held off the ballot through all but the most serious processes. So that's the situation going forward. I think it's very, very unlikely that you're going to see this issue litigated again anytime soon. And I think that's good for the country. I think the situation that we were in prior to this judgment, where state officers, without any due process, without any, certainly without any criminal prosecutions, without really much of anything, felt empowered to make decisions for the American people about who could and couldn't be on the ballot. That's untenable just from the perspective of our constitutional system. So I think this is just a very, very good decision in terms of putting America on the correct constitutional path going forward for our election system.
We are visiting with Will Scharf, who is part of Donald Trump's legal team, legal counsel. Let me ask you about a different case, the D.C. case at this point. This is Jack Smith's, obvious for those who want to look up and keep track of the different cases against the former president. The argument that your team, what Donald Trump is arguing, is that he has immunity from actions taken while he was in office. Presumably, any president would have immunity from prosecution for actions taken in office. That seems like a real far reach for a lot of people to grasp or get on board with. What is it that you're arguing to the court, or that the team is arguing to the court, regarding immunity for a president?
So it's a little more limited than what you just said, Mike. What we're arguing is that for a president's official acts in office, acts that fall within the legal term is the outer perimeter of a president's responsibilities as president, that he can't be criminally prosecuted unless he's first impeached and convicted by the House and Senate. That's the system that we believe the Constitution sets up. Obviously, no president other than President Trump has ever before been indicted, or there's never been an attempt at criminal prosecution for those sorts of official acts. So we believe that's just the system, and that's how it works. Presidents have civil immunity for their official acts. They can't be sued over their official acts in office. We believe that the same applies in the criminal context. The Supreme Court obviously has taken that issue up. We'll be arguing that in late April this year. And we feel that our arguments are very, very strong. This goes back to the earliest days of the Republic. Chief Justice Marshall in Marbury v. Madison says that the courts cannot sit in judgment over a president's official act. So we think that the law is definitely on our side there. But again, it's important to note that this is just about a president's official acts. If a president were to commit a private crime, if he were to, for example, kill somebody or something like that, or burglarize a house, those would be private acts and immunity would not apply. We're talking squarely about official acts. That's what President Trump has been indicted for in that D.C. prosecution. Acts like instructing the Department of Justice to investigate election fraud, or talking to members of Congress about election fraud. Those are core Article II responsibilities of the president. And for acts like that, we believe that a president does have criminal immunity the same way that he would have civil immunity.
Okay, we just got a minute or so left here. Well, I'm glad you put it that way, because one of the things that has been argued by some even conservative pundits is that the argument is that no president could be prosecuted essentially for anything while they're in office. And I think that's the imagery that's being put out to the public. And what I'm hearing you say is, no, only for the decisions he made as president in an official constitutional role.
We're talking about official acts. The term in Nixon v. Fitzgerald, which is the key civil immunity case, is acts that fall within the outer perimeter of a president's official responsibilities. If that weren't the rule, then you could see a situation where every future president is indicted by his political rivals essentially as soon as he leaves office. You could see a situation where President Obama is indicted for murder for drone strikes that he ordered, or President Bush would be indicted for acts relating to the Iraq War. President Biden would be indicted for acts relating to the border. Maybe that would be a good thing. But the constitutional system, we believe it's pretty clear that for those sorts of prosecutions to go forward, you first have to clear the hurdle of impeachment and conviction by Congress. That's the system that the Constitution sets up, and we're seeking to vindicate that core constitutional balancing in this argument that we'll have in front of the Supreme Court next month.
Okay, Will, real quick, before we let you go here, obviously running for Attorney General as well. When you look at what the Attorney General needs to be doing in Missouri, what are the biggest things that you'd like to see done better, done differently, stop being done as Attorney General? Essentially, you're asking the voters to replace a current attorney general with you. Why is that?
Well, the current attorney general is appointed. He's never been elected before, and I think that's important. But more importantly, what we've heard from Missourians across the state is deep, deep dissatisfaction with the Jefferson City establishment that I believe has been running this state into the ground for a very long time. We have a real problem with lobbyist and special interest capture. We have a real problem with our political culture in Jefferson City. I'm not a Jefferson City insider. I don't come from that world. I think we need decisive conservative leadership at all levels in this state if we're going to make this state look more like other conservative states like Florida and Texas that have seen so much success in recent years. We have a real problem in Jefferson City, and I don't think promoting and appointing the same people and electing the same people who have run this state into the ground is going to fix that problem.
One of the biggest things over the last few years with attorneys General Bailey, and then before that, obviously, Eric Schmidt, has to do with looking at other governments when they're violating people's rights. We saw that during COVID. What's the right role of the Attorney General's office when it comes to local governments violating people's rights versus the local control argument we heard so much?
You look, during COVID, all of the craziness we saw with school closures, with mask mandates, with vaccine mandates, with local county health orders, all of that could have been stopped with a single one-page order from the governor's office and the State Department of Health and Senior Services. The Parson administration did some good things at the start of COVID. We didn't have a total lockdown the way that other states did. But then as COVID dragged and dragged and dragged, we saw real inaction from the governor's office that allowed local school districts, that allowed county governments, that allowed local officials to run roughshod over Missourians' rights. Andrew Bailey was obviously the governor's general counsel during that period. I think that failure of leadership is a very significant one, and one that we should call out at every opportunity. There was no need for kids to be kept out of school in some places for years. There was no need for businesses to be shut down, for churches and synagogues to be closed. This was a completely invented, unnecessary tragedy that decisive leadership, decisive conservative leadership in Jefferson City could have prevented. As Attorney General, I'm always going to stand in the breach to defend Missourians' rights, whether that's against the federal government, whether that's against local or state bureaucrats as well. I think it's really important that we have government that fights for the rights of every Missourian. And I think, unfortunately, we just haven't seen that out of Jefferson City in recent years.
Okay, what's the website, social media? People want to learn more about your campaign, what you're doing. How do they get in touch?
You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Truth Social, at Will Scharf, and our website is votescharf.com.
Will, thank you for all the time today.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mike.
All right, what do you think? 314-912-1019. Interesting change of pace that's got me rethinking a part of my position after that conversation. When I was asking Will Scharf about the immunity claim just a few minutes ago, and he says, whoa, we're not asking for immunity from anything somebody does while they are the president of the United States, only for immunity from criminal prosecution over decisions they made. Okay, well, if that's what it's limited to, I can buy that. I just don't want to get into a position where somebody gets elected president and they feel like they are above the law, both in public life and private life. What do you think? Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
And all at once depart, no destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin Bob. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Tuesday, 4:20. We'll speak with David Stokes of Show Me Institute on Metrolink expansion. And at 5:20, Dr. Randy Tobler on CVS and Walgreens selling anti-abortion drugs over the counter.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
The wait is over. Capriati's is now open. Taste extraordinary with our one-of-a-kind sandwiches, like our award-winning Bobby with hand-pulled butterball turkey and stuffing, our roast beef with hand-sliced American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, or our crowd-favorite classic cheesesteaks with your choice of grilled steak or chicken. No matter which you choose, you'll always get Capriati's high-quality ingredients. Capriati's. Eat extraordinary. Order now at capriatis.com or on the app.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you.
All right, what'd you think about what Will had to say? 314-912-1019. I'm watching Rumble here. I got a couple of comments people have already said here. Gabe and Stell are watching YouTube and Facebook and Twitter as well here. So let me know what you think there. I will tell you that he kind of won me over on the immunity thing a little bit, which I'll get into in just a second, which I just mentioned towards the end of that conversation there. By the way, that conversation is going to be posted on the News Talk STL podcast later on today, probably in just a few hours. Are you still doing Vic's show today, or is Ken back today?
I believe Ken is back today.
After like a week and a half.
Yeah, jeez.
Ken is back
He's
from
alive.
the dead. He's back from the dead.
We may not recognize him, but
no,
he'll be back.
So that in that case, then that conversation will be posted probably in a few hours, or so. Yeah, so you can check that. While you're there, subscribe to the podcast as well. All right, I'm Mike Gabe Stell here. Okay, so the Will Scharf interview. Let me start with the obviously the ruling from the Supreme Court, and Will Scharf literally is the attorney or one of the attorneys who argued that and prepared that for the Supreme Court. Big win. I think he's right that when it is a united front from the Supreme Court, it does have more weight.
Yes.
Because what happens right now is Colorado and Maine and, Illinois and all of these other states, they're not saying, okay, well, it's 5-4. Let's see where the loophole is and try to go from there, because that's what Illinois tries to do, for instance, with gun stuff. Now they're going, oh, they meant it.
Yeah, for real.
They meant it for real. We have to kind of abandon this one. I guess we actually have to campaign on stuff now.
It's like, well, I guess it's in the voters' hands now. Like, what's her name said?
The Babylon Bee. Too. Remember they said,
the Babylon Bee.
I guess we have to do it the Democratic way now.
Well, then.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. But yeah, let me get to the immunity thing, because that's where this comment came from on Rumble here as well. But on the actual merits of the case there, even many on the hard left are recognizing that the Supreme Court got this one right.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anybody in the Trump camp was worried about this particular ruling.
No.
I'm just my guess. I don't think anybody in the MAGA movement, I don't think anybody in the actual partisan GOP, I don't think you were worried. You knew how this was going to go. We just didn't know what the count was going to be.
Yeah, I think, when it came down to people asking about that case, usually the response was pretty tepid. It was just like, yeah, well, we're taking it to the Supreme Court.
Right.
It's like no big deal. As opposed to the sort of, I won't say panicked, but the sort of explanation vomit that was always coming from the other side. It's like, here's why this is very important that we be able to remove him from the.
Right.
It's like, yeah, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where that is. Now, the immunity thing, because I've been really critical of Donald Trump's immunity claims.
Yeah, and that's primarily based on his tweets.
Based on his
or True
Social post or whatever you call him on True. I'm not on True Social, but and because he has explicitly been arguing, he said even if the president does something shady, or what was the other word that he used? But basically, what he said was even if a president commits crimes,
right?
Now he didn't use those words. I don't want to put those words in his mouth, but he does things that are questionable,
right?
He says that the president should be immune from prosecution. That's a step too far, I think, for me. But what Will said, and if you missed it or you want to hear it again, that's going to be up on the podcast. Will said, no, that's not what we're arguing before the Supreme Court.
Right.
He said, what we're arguing is that anything a president does as part of his or her job, so you can't sue somebody or you can't file criminal charges for an executive action,
right?
For a signing a law or vetoing a law,
right?
For cutting off funding, something like that, for an agreement made. Okay, I'm on board with that.
Sure.
I'm absolutely on board with that. If that's what they're arguing, I agree.
Sure.
100%. Because now, and because I've made that case before, and I've had people say, well, art of the deal, you just ask for everything and hope you. Okay, that's a dangerous thing to be arguing for. So it sounds more like the legal team, at least Will Scharf, is saying, no, we're arguing for what we believe is constitutional. The civil immunity is longstanding precedent.
Right. Yeah.
That's in the law. That's in practice. That's in court precedent. You don't like that the president signed this law, so you're going to sue him for it. It ain't happening.
Right.
It's getting kicked.
Yeah.
Now they've also got immunity if you sue them because you think because he didn't pay his bills to you. Okay, you can do that, but you got to wait till he's out of office to deal with that.
Yeah.
For the back rent or whatever.
One of the problems with dealing with Trump in general is that you kind of have to separate his rhetoric from what the people around him are actually doing. So he speaks in the art of the deal style. But his lawyers are still they still understand the laws. They still understand the bounds within which they have to operate in. So you got to. He's not exactly fast. He's not exactly accurate with the way he says things.
Right.
He plays very fast and loose with his wording. And that gets him into trouble.
Oh, it does. Absolutely. Yeah. Ed on Rumble says he's correct, meaning Will. Presidents have immunity, but remember, Democrats think they can change anything to fit their narratives, which, happens as well.
You got to be careful. Yeah.
And so I think it's really important on our side to call out when somebody goes too far, whether it's Republican or Democrat or not.
Sure.
In the case, that's why I've been critical of Trump with his claims, his personal claims, his social media claims of immunity. Because he really has argued if you are elected president, you should be immune from anything and everything, even like he said, things that are questionable, things that, and he hinted at even, things like, well, I don't want to use the words, but, taking out, other leaders. I mean,
right.
So he basically said, he went to the extreme and said, even in extreme cases, a president can't function unless they have complete, insulation from prosecution. And Will's argument, and he's the one preparing the legal argument with the couple other people, he's saying, no, that's not what we're taking before the Supreme Court. So if what they end up taking before the Supreme Court is what Will Scharf is saying, I can buy that. That I'm fine with. That I think is correct.
Sure, and I think it goes back to that inaccuracy in his language. If Trump is he might be thinking in his mind, well, if I have a drone strike on a guy who's a leader in a major,
Right.
faction, which he's done,
Yeah.
right? It's like I shouldn't be able to be prosecuted for that, and we all agree, and that's what the lawyer is arguing for. Now, the way he casts it in his tweets, it sounds less toward in the way he's describing it, as
Right.
opposed to he's just acting in his executive function.
Right. Now, did you also note that what Will was saying is he said, now, if a president is impeached and convicted,
yes,
over a high crime or misdemeanor, then they could be prosecuted for it. I think that's constitutional as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's I was kind of arguing for that as well as being part of what they're probably arguing, just because it makes the most sense.
Yeah. So I also thought about this when I was getting coffee in that last information segment. I'm thinking, man, and this is not a reflection on what what the candidate Trump is or what the former, but can you imagine being a lawyer and having Donald Trump as your client? He has got to be the worst client ever for a lawyer.
Because the thing is, lawyer advice is always shut up.
Yes.
Look, that's what's every time I've come across a lawyer who's dealing with is like, okay, my lawyer has advised me not to talk about this, not to comment on this. Well, that's an open case that my lawyers are working on, so I'm going to let them handle it. That's usually the response that the lawyer wants you to say. You're not going to get Trump to shut up.
For Trump, that's a green light.
That's green light.
Yeah, that's the lawyers are not going to say, Mr. President, what I really think you should do is right in the middle of testimony of a case, get up and walk out, then go out to the court steps and bash the judge.
Exactly. He's like, please don't.
So,
please
don't. I'm not talking about his campaign. I'm not talking about his previous presidency, but you got to admit he's got to be the worst client ever for
just Trump as a dude. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. How about this? Are we paying through our tax dollars? Are we paying to help cover back child support that deadbeat dads have not paid in St. Louis?
Say that again.
Oh, I will. Right around 7:35.
Here we go.
Yep, it's an official city program. I'll tell you about it. But you got some thoughts on the conversation we had with Will Scharf? Love to hear it. Here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A cold front slides through this morning. Spotty rain and storms slowly coming to an end, but stubborn clouds going to hang on for most of the day. Now behind this front, temperatures drop into the 50s and kind of hold steady there through the afternoon. Much cooler than yesterday's highs in the 70s. Partly cloudy and dry tonight, down to 43 early Wednesday morning. We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies. Tomorrow's high 62. More rounds of rain on the way from Thursday afternoon into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
I like supporting local companies that give back to the community. For more than 40 years, Vincent's Jewelers has helped raise more than $1.5 million for local charities. So I'm personally asking that when you're shopping for jewelry, give Vincent's a chance. And in turn, Vincent's will give even more to our community. On Olive, just east of 270. New specials every day on vincentsjewelers.com or Vincent's Facebook.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
In the 1950s and early 1960s, a chemist in Austin, Texas, started developing nitazines. They were not illicit at that time, but they were intended to be sold commercially. That never happened. I bring that up because in the state of Colorado, they're finding a decrease in fentanyl overdoses. That would be good news, except they're finding deaths related to nitazines. And nitazines are estimated to be 10 to 20 times more deadly than fentanyl. Narcan, which is often used to treat someone who has an overdose of fentanyl, is a life-saving medication if you've taken fentanyl, heroin, other prescription opioids, but apparently it has little effect on dealing with nitazines. The person might need Narcan hit 3, 4, 5 times to save their life. No one knows for sure where these are suddenly surfacing. Obviously, the culprit suggested immediately would be China, which means they're also probably coming across our border, another act of our open border causing more deaths, and put it at Joe Biden's feet. And they just keep coming.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Spring into green with Seidenberger Nobe Partners. Accelerate your productivity with one of our John Deere compact tractors. Right now, take advantage of 0% financing for 84 months with zero down, featuring payments as low as $210 a month. From landscapes to farming, these compact tractors can handle a variety of tasks. Seidenberger Nobe, your partner for the land. snpartners.com.
Offer valid through 4/26/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Are you fed up with paying too much for lightning-fast doctor visits with too little information? Well, I was too, and decided to create an alternative. Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler here, asking you to take a look at no copay, no deductible visits with me and my team. That's Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Let's face it, the system's broken. No respect for your money or your time. So learn about a better way for your primary care. Schedule your discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com, shepherding you to medical freedom.
Hey, everybody, it's Rob Carter. Did you know that every day 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 and need help deciphering their Medicare options? I want to tell you about my lifelong friend, Pamela Berry, Pilgrim Pammy. She has over 2 decades of experience dealing with Medicare insurance. She's an expert specializing in business owners, but she can assist you too. She'll help you navigate and uncomplicate Medicare. With nearly 70 plan options, special enrollments may be available. Call Pilgrim Pammy at 314-659-9841.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Live and local.
Welcome home. And whoosh, sitting in traffic, stuck in a jam, and being entertained by Vic and Thunderstealing Ken.
This is News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Little Night Ranger.
Yeah, good tune from them.
From the 80s,
Yeah.
I happen to notice.
It's 82.
That's right. Don't Tell Me You Love Me.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be something that would, say, fit into a Flashback Friday.
I would say that it would fit in.
Now, I'm not going to be here this Flashback Friday, but Susie Moore is going to be here. And we're still doing Flashback Friday, right?
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, buddy.
So still, send your request for 80s bump music. Send it right to Stel, STEL, at newstalkstl.com, or send us your suggestions on any of the social media platforms as well. All right.
Nice little list right here. That's.
Oh, I'm not going to say anything on the air, but let me see what we've got. These are ones that have come in already.
If you can read my writing.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, solid.
Oh, people are going to love that one. That's a classic. Oh, that's going to take back to high school. Okay, good. All right.
Mike Ferguson, master of the tease.
Okay, get this. It looks like some of your tax money is going to help pay off deadbeat dad's child support, or at least part of their child support.
Okay, I'm very curious about this story. How does this work?
I had to double check this morning because I
Okay.
found the story on, I think it's Channel 2. Let me see here. No. It's maybe it was Channel 5 as well. I had it up on my thing, but they have that stupid autoplay.
Oh, gosh.
So I had to close it out so it doesn't go over the air.
Stop using autoplay.
The autoplay. I think. So here's the deal. By the way, at 7:50, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Why one U.S. city is telling young tourists to not bother them. Seriously, they are telling people to not come visit their city.
What?
I'm not kidding.
It's like the anti-tourism board?
Yes, it is. Don't come here. We don't want you.
Wow.
Is it down south?
It is. It is.
I won't guess any further, but
okay.
Quaint little town or
no,
big city?
Big city.
Really?
They literally put out an ad on TV saying, "We don't want you here. Do not come here and spend your money."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm
I'm
gonna
so
leave it at
curious.
that.
Okay.
7:50.
So curious.
I've actually got the ad.
Oh my
And by
gosh.
the way, I'm telling you right now because sometimes I do these teases just to have some fun. This is not a parody. This is
for serious.
This is a real thing.
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna let Gabe and me guess before you
Yes.
get it? Okay.
Yes. Okay. So there's something called the Fathers and Family Support Center that's part of this looks like it's either affiliated with or it is a city program in the city of St. Louis. Okay, so they are promoting a new program that is using ARPA money, the COVID slush fund money.
Oh, gosh.
Because remember, they've got this boatload of ARPA funds they don't know what to do with.
Oh, yeah.
And so what they want to do is they want to take some of that and help guys who are behind on their child support get caught up
To
on their
catch
child
up.
support. So literally paying guys back child support with your taxpayer money.
How about now?
Yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. If you're eligible, and you have to be a resident of the city of St. Louis, if you're eligible, you could get up to $5,000.
Whoa.
Credited to your arrears of child support. So essentially, what would happen is the mother of the child or the guardian of the child would get up to $5,000 in your name, even though the rest of us are paying for it.
Wow.
So here's the deal. Now, here's the catch, and people may have a different opinion on it. 314-912-1019. So they've got what's called the St. Louis Agency on Training and Employment, or SLATE. So they've got a program that is basically exchanging that up to $5,000 in child support payments if you go through some kind of career job training and job coaching, developing some job readiness skills, and then you go to them trying to help you find a job. So this is what they're looking for. So the requirements is that the deadbeat dad has to be a resident of the city of St. Louis, and the child and the mother need to be a resident of Missouri.
Okay.
Not just the city.
Right.
So on the surface of it, you, me, Stell, everybody listening, because these ARPA funds are your taxpayer dollars, which, by the way, were borrowed, which is part of what's driving up the inflation.
Yeah, we're paying for it currently at the grocery store.
A massive waste of money. And so they're saying these guys who are behind up to the tune of thousands of dollars will pay off at least part of it if you'll come get some job training. And so it's a carrot and a stick thing. So we're going to use taxpayer money to help pay off your child support because you didn't do it or you wouldn't do it, but you gotta agree to go through some job training in order to get it. Does that make it any better? Does that make it sort of a return on investment thing? Because I'm going to tell you, it feels gross to me.
Is the job training something that they have to pay for, or is it free?
It doesn't look like they have to pay for it. No.
So it's just. Okay, so there's so many problems with the way all of our programs work. Now, money is fungible, and people can make the excuses like, okay, well, either we do it this way, or we're providing them just living expenses for the period in which they're going through the job training because they can't work at the time.
Right.
You can make all kinds of stipulations for all these things. Oh, well, they're in a bad situation. We're going to put them in a better economic situation. So hopefully going forward that they can be we can do all this. But I think a lot of these problems are so many steps before we get to this program that my brain kind of shuts down on the program.
Yeah.
So it's like, first of all, the whole COVID slush fund thing has been a boondoggle since day one. Billions of dollars in fraud that we're never going to get back, that we're currently paying for because of the inflated prices of all the goods. So every time I go to the grocery store, every time I go to the gas station, every time I go and buy clothes for my wife or whatever, I'm paying for the money that was borrowed in order to spread around, and the billions of dollars that have been wasted, probably going to various elite friends of the people who passed these laws to begin with. So there's that aspect of it, and then there's just the family court system is a mess all on its own. I imagine there's the combination of actual deadbeat dads and dads who have been shut out from their family for so long, and they're on the hook for money that they don't have. I've heard of stories where dads are on the hook for paying for kids that aren't even his.
Yeah, I've heard those too.
So it's just like all of these things kind of add up in my mind. I'm like, shut it all down.
Yeah,
that's the first thought.
And the way that they're making this back fit into this, they say that in the application you have to be a resident of the city, and the mom and the child or children have to be residents of Missouri, and you have to say that you were affected by COVID shutdowns.
Right.
Well,
okay.
everybody was affected by COVID shutdowns. I mean, that's just a check a box. They don't even check on stuff like that.
No.
So
Who vets that?
Here's the thing is, I understand the logic.
Sure.
Okay, so you're behind, $2,000-$3,000, which to some people is a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And you're behind $2,000-$3,000. So you know what? We'll take care of that if you come get job training and then you can get a job and then you can keep up with your child support payment. So really, we're paying off your child support as an investment for you to go to. I understand the logic.
Oh, sure. You could spin it as a win-win all day.
Yeah, you can spin it that way. It just feels icky and gross to me that we're taking taxpayer money and saying, all right, deadbeat dads, we're going to pay off your child support.
Yep.
And to the mom and the child, they don't care where the money comes from. They just need the help.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little more in tune to this because I was a single parent for 14 years, never received a penny from my ex.
Right, and you struggled.
Never.
You struggled.
Oh, I worked 3 jobs at times with 2 little kids. I did what I had to do. Now I'm in a whole different position financially. Completely different position financially. But this to me just feels. I have an ethical issue with government coming in to say we will pay your back child support that you're responsible for doing if you come and do our program. It just feels gross to me.
You want to feel ickier about it?
Yeah, sure.
The government has a perverse incentive in the child support industry to begin with because they have a take. There's a take from all child support. When it's ordered, it goes through their system, and they have money that they have to be paid.
If every parent, and I know it's mostly dads we're talking about, but if every parent simply did what they were supposed to do, even in a post-divorce situation or post-separation situation, if everybody did the moral, ethical thing, these divisions of government wouldn't even exist.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And so now they're taking our money to pay some dudes back child support.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
it's all gross. It's like you said. It makes you feel icky, and I think it should.
I get the logic. I understand why a leftist would think this is a great thing.
Yes.
I mean, I really do.
Well, they're starting from the premise of this broken system to begin with.
Yeah.
That it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I actually respect the logic. I just disagree with it.
Yeah.
In this case. All right. Why is one tourist destination telling some tourists, don't come here, we don't like you?
I want to understand this.
Okay. That's going to be right around 7:51 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Come hear renowned economist Larry Reed of the Foundation for Economic Education speak at the Hammond Institute's informative event, Liberty and Character.
Hello, my name is Lawrence Reed, interim president of the Foundation for Economic Education. 250 years ago, Americans rose to the occasion and mustered the courage to defend their liberties. Can we do it again? Please join me on Thursday, March 14th, when the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University sponsors me to deliver an important message about the connections between liberty and personal character. Visit hammondinstitute.org to register for this free event.
Admission is free, but you must reserve your seat at hammondinstitute.org. This engaging talk on March 14th at View 17 will illuminate the vital link between free markets and morality. Don't miss this chance to expand your perspective on critical issues at the intersection of ethics, capitalism, and human flourishing. Reserve your seat today at hammondinstitute.org. That's hammondinstitute.org.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
thought this was Twisted Sister.
Actually, it's Quiet Riot.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did mean Quiet Riot. Yeah,
That's
sorry.
right.
No, I did. The guitars, that sounded, the guitars and drums, that definitely had a Frankie Benelli sound to it. Sorry. I really swear to God, I really did think Quiet Riot. Yeah. All right.
Gabe's marking this down.
Yeah.
Mike didn't. That's
I
what
know.
day
No,
is
I
this?
swear. I don't know why I said Twisted Sister. Because
Mike.
I think the thing was when the first guitars came out, like, is that Twisted Sister? I went, oh, no, that's Quiet Riot. And then I said Twisted Sister. I swear. Okay. A major U.S. city tells spring breakers, don't come here. We don't want you because you suck. In so many words.
Atlanta.
Good guess, but not correct.
Okay.
Galveston, Texas.
He's closer. No.
Okay.
Any
more guesses?
Atlanta.
Go farther south.
A little farther south than Atlanta.
Well, for me, back in the day, it would have been Fort Lauderdale.
You're in the right area now.
Okay, it's in Florida. Okay, how far south? We're talking like Orlando?
Pretty far south.
Orlando, Miami?
Miami. Yep. They
Okay.
put money into a professional ad specifically to tell spring breakers, we do not want you here.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. By the way, News Talk STL, take us with you anywhere you want. We got that streaming app either on your computer or you can also find us on the app. It's a free app as well. By the way, 8:05, did you hear what happened to Corey Stark over Channel 4?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear about this?
Just heard it.
So he had it's not even really a slip of the tongue. Somebody wrote the script wrong and he used a politically incorrect, outdated term. And so now he's like doing the apology tour everywhere. Should he have to? Is it really that big of an offense? So we'll talk about that at 8:05. I think it's an interesting discussion. I don't think they should be crucifying the guy myself, but then again, I'm just a white dude. What do I know?
Well, my oddball comment would be, what about the copywriter or somebody behind the scenes who wrote it?
Yeah, exactly. That's we'll tell you what actually happened. But Corey Stark, and KMOV catching some grief, and I don't think it's necessarily fair in this case. All right, get this. Miami, the city of Miami, and I am telling you, this is not a parody thing. This is really what they put out there on video, promoting it on social media. I don't know if they put it on actual television or cable anywhere or streaming. I have a feeling you're probably going to see it in some streaming areas. It's spring break for a lot of colleges. The university my wife teaches at, spring break this week. Last week, this week, next week, a lot of spring breaks that are happening right now. So the city of Miami releases an ad telling spring break revelers to revel somewhere else. Here's the first part. It's a breakup message is what it is. Here's the first part of the ad here.
Hey, we need to talk.
This isn't working anymore.
And it's not us. It's you. We just want different things.
Our idea of a good time is relaxing on the beach.
Hitting up a spa or checking out a new restaurant.
You just want to get drunk in public and ignore laws.
Do you even remember what happened last March?
And then she holds up a phone, and what you're seeing is a bunch of video of, police corralling a drunk spring break mob and showing a bunch of police activity and accident, all that kind of stuff. So that's what she was showing in that. Here's the second half of that ad.
That was our breaking point, so we're breaking up with you.
And don't try to apologize and come crawling back. This isn't safe, so we're done.
And just so you know, we're serious.
This March, you can expect things like curfews, bag checks, and restricted beach access.
DUI checkpoints, $100 parking, and strong police enforcement for drug possession and violence.
Whatever it takes, because it's time to move on.
Maybe we can talk when you're done with your spring break phase, but until then.
And then he sort of waves. That's literally a 60-second television ad produced by the city of Miami telling tens of thousands of spoiled rich college kids, don't come here.
Look, I am so happy about that ad. I cannot tell you, because basically it's saying, hey, you're hot girl summer and all the craziness that you want to get into and all.
Yeah.
We don't like it. I love the community basically stepping up and saying, okay, you want to come, if you do want to come down here, you're not doing all that garbage because we're having the curfews and the DUI check. I was like, oh, heck yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You think they have a list of cities where they're going to run the spots? Because I'm thinking
Probably.
Champaign-Urbana, Columbia, Missouri, Columbus, Ohio.
Yep.
Go right down the line. New York City, Boston, all the northern towns where kids go down to Miami.
The major university cities, and I would put them on video streaming. I mean, like for instance, when you look at our YouTube stream or our Rumble stream, there are little videos that start that's advertising that comes through at the very, very beginning. That's where you go on Hulu or Freevee or any of those, Amazon. You get ads. I mean, I saw an ad yesterday. I was watching something on. What was it? I think it was Freevee. It was one of those. And sure enough, it was like a restaurant in St. Louis. They targeted geographically. So they probably are. I mean, that's a full ad. And of course, everybody, these are all like young, hip looking, young professionals who are talking to the kids and like, screw you. And not in a spring break anonymous kind of way, a drunkard way. I mean, man,
Think of all the schools, all the Big 10 schools or whatever they're called these days, Big 12, Big 16, I don't know. And Big East schools, Ann Arbor, Madison, Wisconsin, Minneapolis, St. Paul, where all these huge state schools are at. Wow.
See, and if I'm a college student somewhere, now I never did the spring break thing. Did you ever go on a spring break to one of these trips?
You'd have to have money to do that.
I never did.
Not necessarily.
Well,
but that was back in my day.
Right.
We slept on the beach for about 2 or 3 nights.
Let's see, that sounds fun. Yeah. Did you do a spring break thing?
Did it actually once during spring break and once after the spring semester was done.
Okay. Yeah, see, I never did the spring break trip because when everybody left town, I was able to get more hours at work and make more money.
There you go.
I just went in and worked more. To do that. But in this kind of thing, if I'm a student and I'm at pick out University of Iowa, whatever, and I see that, I'm going, oh, well, I really wanted to get wild and crazy. Maybe I need to go to Galveston, and maybe I need to go to Tijuana. Maybe, good luck on that.
And the opposite is true too. If you were like me and, If I had money, I'll say in school, and spring break comes around, it's like I'd really like to go to Miami, but it looks crazy down there.
Yes.
The information that they're providing here is like, hey, Miami might be a nice place to visit right now.
That's a great point because there have been times over the past over times of my life, I'm like, I had a chance to go to someplace. I'm like, ooh, spring break. No, thanks. I'm not doing, but right now, I mean, I'm going to Fort Myers this week.
Right.
Now there's a lot of spring training there. I don't think Fort Myers is a big spring break place. But I mean, I would now be tempted. I would see that and go, I can get a lift and not pay the $100 parking. I'll be fine. That makes it more attractive to me.
If you're a middle class family looking to bring your kids who are on spring break someplace, now Miami sounds really attractive, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it's a great ad, man.
That's a perfect ad.
And but it's interesting when a city spends money to tell people to not come spend money there. How bad does your behavior have to be to do that? Standing up to the children who are still in college. All right, by the way, a local, just ahead here, 8:05, a local TV news anchor, he gets in trouble, people saying he said something racist. Did he? I'm not sure that this is fair to Corey. We'll talk about that just ahead here.
This week on News Talk STL.
I was just informed that we got double the number of votes that has ever been received in the great state of South Carolina.
The Democrats, the media, and the Biden legal team are trying to revive this Russia 2.0.
Speaker Johnson needs to do what's best for the American people.
News, analysis, and opinion.
What needs to happen is better communication between local law enforcement and the federal government.
Everywhere across the country, because every state has become a border state now.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. That's 800-407-9204.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The FAA promotes diversity over safety, wants to hire people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Why don't they just hire blind people to be pilots?
Well, I've actually said that this is a cost-saving measure because if you hire a schizophrenic pilot, the co-pilot's in his head. So you don't have to hire another guy.
That is awesome. Doug Blair. This is your pilot. No, I'm the pilot. No, I'm the pilot. Don't listen to him.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Former president says it's a big victory for America. 5 people are dead. The crash of a small plane near an interstate on the west side of Nashville. Kendra Loney with the Nashville Fire Department says that crews quickly reached the scene near I-40.
They were able to extinguish that fire and also preserve the evidence from that scene so that the appropriate agencies can come and investigate what led to this deadly crash.
She tells WTBF all 5 of the victims were on board the plane. The Biden administration is moving to cap credit card late fees at $8. This comes at a time when credit card debt has been soaring, with the ruinous inflation of the past few years forcing so many people to rely on plastic simply to make ends meet. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, stock futures in the red, Dow futures down 144, NASDAQ futures off 120 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten. Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
In Serbia, an investigation of what may be the worst ever mass poisoning of birds.
Serbia's Bird Protection and Study Society says it's already found more than 800 dead birds. Most of them are jackdaws, a protected species in Serbia. The society says its members saw birds falling dead from trees next to agricultural fields near the town of Kikinda. The area is known by bird watchers as the world capital of wintering long-eared owls. No birds of prey have so far been found among the dead birds, but the society warns that they depend on jackdaws to make the nests, which they later use to rear their young.
The BBC's Guy Deloney.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A cold front slides through this morning. Spotty rain and storms slowly coming to an end, but stubborn clouds going to hang on for most of the day. Now, behind this front, temperatures drop into the 50s and kind of hold steady there through the afternoon. Much cooler than yesterday's highs in the 70s. Partly cloudy and dry tonight, down to 43 early Wednesday morning. We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies. Tomorrow's high 62. More rounds of rain on the way from Thursday afternoon into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up, St. Louis?
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Did you hear about this thing that Corey Stark over Channel 4 is in the middle of this like big, huge controversy, and a bunch of national like leftist media is going after the guy?
Just heard about it.
I haven't the slightest idea whether Corey Stark is conservative or liberal or anything like that. I mean, you don't really see it in his reporting. I don't think that, I'm just going to put it out there right now, I don't think that all the pouncing on him is fair. Mm-hmm. But I've got the little clip that people are all upset about, so we're going to get to that in just a minute. 8:06 right now. Got Gabe here, got Stell here. By the way, we're in that conversation that we had a little bit ago about this program in the city of St. Louis that literally is taking ARPA tax money to pay guys back child support.
Yeah.
If they'll go do. Boy, that really struck a nerve with a lot of people.
Okay.
Joe on Rumble, he goes, wasting money we don't have must be a STL City program. That's pretty much an evergreen comment.
Yes, it works for everything.
Let me see here. Blues Nut says, not to sound like a bad person, but when are the working class people going to get a break? The morons go out and do something and we have to pay for it. I do not think that makes you sound like a bad person at all. Blues Nut. I think that's very real. He goes on to say, I work my butt off every day and all I ever hear is we're going to pay for something that's stupid. Mm-hmm. When does personal responsibility kick in for all of these deadbeat morons?
Amen.
Yeah. And let's see here. Let me see here. The others were commenting on other stories like the Spring Drake thing and things like that. So, yeah, but that really struck a nerve, and so did that Spring Break story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. 314-912-1019. I'm curious as to what you think about this. So the other day on KMOV, on their news, there was a story that they were doing regarding, a program for, homeowners or dealing with the government thing in the city of St. Louis. And it's a program that's targeted basically at minority homeowners. And so here's the little clip. It doesn't even really matter what the program is. I'll just put it that way. Because here's Corey Stark anchoring it, and somebody just held up their phone and recorded, which is why it's a little bit echoey. But you can clearly see you can clearly hear what he had to say. And so here is what's caused all the consternation.
American dream, but tonight, colored homeowners are sounding the alarm when it comes to undervalued home appraisals. Our national investigative team looking into this issue.
Okay, so there it is. Colored homeowners.
Right.
So KMOV, of course, and Corey Stark is now, apologized. He's like, that's not who I am, et cetera.
The station probably issued a statement, right?
KMOV put a statement and they said, okay, the original script said homeowners of color. And then somehow in their editing and writing process, somebody changed the script and made it colored homeowners.
Right.
And then Corey just read it because that's what was on the teleprompter right there.
Right.
And before
pulled around Burgundy.
Yeah, I was going to say, before you go around Burgundy on it, I've been on television. I've done plenty of teleprompter work. There's a different mindset when you're reading that.
You stay on prompter.
You stay on prompter.
You do.
You have to. If you try to edit in your head, you're going to crash and burn. So I've seen stuff like this happen. I really have, where like a producer or director in a newsroom writes a script, what they call just a voiceover, which is where they just, read something and there's a little
B-roll or something.
Yeah, a little B-roll or a little thing above their shoulder. And a lot of times the anchors, they will see it on the set or they'll see it for the first time and they're just reading what's on there. I mean, They really are. Now, a lot of the anchors write a lot of their own scripts. And in this particular case, apparently Corey Stark did not. So he says colored homeowners.
Right.
Now, I think that's an important distinction that you make there, because he may not have had any opportunity to read the copy at all, and all of a sudden it shows up, and you're right, he's reading it on the teleprompter.
Yep.
No clue.
Right. Or somebody edited for time, because here's behind the scenes. When you read the TV script programs, when you're writing it, they tell you how many seconds they estimate that's going to take.
Right.
So if you're tightening up your prepositional phrases or whatever, then you see that little time go down, 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 which is what you want.
So you're pulling out little words.
You're pulling out words. Right. So first of all, I did not know anybody under the age of 85 still said colored people. I mean, my grandparents used that term because they were from, the Depression era.
Yeah.
That was normal, and it wasn't a slur back then.
Right. That was the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People,
Yes,
NAACP.
that's right, yeah.
Because the NAACP was founded in the era where colored people was the proper term for black folks.
Okay, so Corey Stark is now under the gun. The Daily Beast writes this attack piece on him.
Mm-hmm.
They actually referred to it as a Jim Crow era.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Yeah, that was a stretch.
I'm like, really?
Come on.
Okay, well then, Gabe, obviously people are going to ask you this question for different reasons than they're going to ask me.
Yeah, a little bit.
As the black dude in the room,
yes.
When you hear Corey Stark say colored homeowners, did you have a reaction to it?
Well, I mean, now it would probably be different hearing it firsthand than hearing it after the fact when all the explanations are out there and you kind of understand. Although, to be fair, this has been my problem with the term people of color or something of color that has become kind of the one of these standard terms that we use in public these days, because it's just a reversal of colored people. People of color is colored people with of in between. That's all you've done. So I don't like the idea that there's one formulation of those words, the 2 versus 3 word phrase that's good and one that is derogatory.
That makes sense.
I don't like it. It's like, why are you doing this? Because what you're going to do is you're setting people up to do that. You're setting people up to have a slip of the tongue and reverse the words.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of nonprofit groups out there that are like of color is like the big thing. Women of color.
Yeah, exactly.
That
business
sort of
owners of color. Blah,
Right.
blah. Well, and then the other half of the reason why I hate that is that basically it just means not white.
Well, yeah.
Which is different than
Right.
saying black, Hispanic, Asian, Filipino, and you know what I mean? Saying it's just basically it's a decidedly exclusionary term that I do not like.
Yeah.
All that being said, I don't think this is a big deal. I think this is it's a slight mistake. It's either an editing mistake, a slip of the tongue,
Or all the above.
Or all the above.
Yeah.
I don't think he's intentionally decided. Oh yeah, them colored people's over there. He's
That's right.
He
The
coloreds. He didn't suddenly become a 1930s guy from the South. Talking about the coloreds.
Yeah.
So I think it's overblown all the consternation.
But the media jumps all over it.
Oh, they have
because,
to.
I mean, they don't have to. They just do.
Well, because as slaves to the narrative, they have to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's accurate.
You know what I mean? So it's like they can't help themselves. They are compelled by their ideology because that's what feeds it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the thing. I mean, and it's even, if somebody goes, huh?
Right.
Wait, what? What does it say?
Yeah,
that's one thing because it sounds weird.
It obviously does because it's anachronistic and it makes everybody feel icky when people say that.
Right, because it's really outdated.
It's really outdated.
I'm really surprised that the word color or colored was in there at all, because I would think you could have just as easily said minority.
Yeah, minority homeowners.
I mean, minority homeowners. I mean, that to me makes a whole lot more sense just from a writing perspective. I don't know how the of color thing, but the explanation that KMOV put out there actually makes a lot of sense. And having been a television anchor in my career, I know exactly what happens. That's why one of the reasons I was intent on writing every word that I broadcast from the scripted part of my old TV show, Missouri Viewpoint, the old syndicated TV show, Missouri Viewpoints. I wrote my intros. I wrote my outros. I wrote my pitches. I wrote all of that so that I owned it for good or bad on this. So many people have a hand in putting what's on television. Corey Stark and Samantha Jones and all the others, you go to any other stations, they're the ones who present it. Like in Europe, it's not a broadcaster or an anchor, it's a presenter.
Right.
That's what they call him. So, you could say, well, should Corey Stark have just had that instinct to go, oh, I'm not going to say that.
No.
Well, fine if you want to say that.
The prompter is moving. You're going to read the dang words. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah. I mean, and the guy said, I didn't mean to say that. I apologize. Why isn't that good enough anymore? Why do we need a pound of flesh from a guy who, from what I can tell, has never offended anybody, at all? I couldn't find anything that he's like made somebody mad on. He's a news anchor. He's a reporter. He was reading what was on there.
Well, the god of the narrative is insatiable and requires a sacrifice every once in a while. That's how that works. I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but I legitimately think there is a spiritual aspect to the narrative. Because the people who are slaves to the narrative, they behave as though they are the priesthood of a religion that is dedicated to this ideology, and they sacrifice babies in the womb. They sacrifice individuals by destroying their careers through cancellation and stuff like that. They sometimes sacrifice each other. You ever see these leftists go after one another when you take one slight foot off of the reservation? Look what they're doing to J.K. Rowling, right? Trying to turn her into some sort of crazy person.
She's a leftist, and they're going after her.
Absolutely. So the narrative is a god to these people.
Yeah, that's a great point. And you're kind of on fire with your analogies today.
Oh, thank you.
That's for sure. But that's what's crazy. There are people who go around looking for reasons to attack and get angry with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're looking for reasons to be offended. Now, first of all, that's a really horrible way to live your life.
Oh, it's pathetic.
And there are things that a news anchor could say, even by mistake, that I would go, okay, you're on your own, dude.
Right.
You better take the heat for that one. I just don't think that this one's fair.
No, it's definitely not fair, especially when you get down to the whole teleprompter script thing. Yeah, like that makes it even more real, because I couldn't imagine being a broadcaster, whose job is just to read other people's words that way,
right,
in live and without rehearsal. Like, I couldn't imagine putting my fate basically in the hands of somebody else.
Listen, I've been there when breaking news stories were happening, and we were typing in and writing in the words like during the thing, like breaking news inserted in. Those anchors, they did not see that before it hit the teleprompter, and you have to have trust in your entire team.
Oof.
That's the behind the scenes that happened. Now, do I have time for like one really funny story? So I was working at an NBC affiliate in another city once. I was an assignment editor, so I wasn't the guy on the air. I was behind. I was planning out which stories the reporters would cover and who would do interviews, and I was coordinating that part. So the producer would tell me, "Here's what I'm looking for." I'd say, "Here are the stories we've got," and then we'd coordinate that. That was my job. And we decided to mess with one of our anchors. And so we made up a fictional story, not for the air. We did it plenty of time earlier.
Okay.
But we made up a story about a brawl that broke out at a sumo wrestling tournament in Japan, and just made up all sorts of nonsensical Japanese words as names, and like this this wrestler attacked this wrestler, and this, and so all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we hear the anchor, a very prim and proper Emmy-winning anchor, out of nowhere scream, "What the F?" We all lost it in the newsroom. And so our prank worked. It was hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
That was about 25 years ago that we did that. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? I mean, is this fair? Is this unfair? I mean, or is there something that says, hey, you're in a hypercharged area. If you mess up and you say an outdated term, you got to own it for a little bit. You got to fall on the sword. I just think it's overblown. And I think the national media jumping on a St. Louis slip of the tongue or a slip of the script, I think is nonsense, but that doesn't stop them from doing it, like you said.
Yeah.
All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Pardon me, your epidermis is showing, sir. I couldn't help but note your shade of melanin. I tip my hat to the colorful arrangement, 'cause I see the beauty in the tones of our skin. We gotta come together. We're color people and we live in a team.
clear where you get your conservative talk.
The St. Louis Business Journal is now reporting that liberal billionaire George Soros is the largest shareholder of Odyssey,
the parent company of KMOX and 97.1 Talk.
Soros' maneuver raises critical questions about the future of media ownership and influence.
Money and attention is power. And when he has the money and he controls what's on the radio stations, he's going to be able to control the mind, potentially hundreds of millions of Americans.
St. Louis's trusted source and number one
for conservative talk.
This is News Talk STL.
You know, there's a house right across the street from me that is for sale. It just went up for sale a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that, which kind of surprised us. It's a fairly new home. It's really big. It's, really a high dollar home. Beautiful house. Haven't seen any activity. Haven't seen anybody in or out there. It's still for sale. Nothing is moving on this home. But you know what? That sign in the front does not say Rodney and Jen Wallner. Mike Ferguson here for the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. And every time I see something like that, I'm thinking somebody is making a big mistake, because if you're ready to sell a home right now, even in this market, even with these interest rates, Rodney and Jen have so many pre-approved buyers that you may not even have to list your home. That's how well they are prepared for you. Rodney and Jen, listen, I know Rodney and Jen. I've known them for years. They are passionate about helping families get the best return on investment when they are buying or where they are selling. And by the way, Rodney and Jen are licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. That is a really big deal. And every real estate agent, it's kind of funny. Somebody fails in one line of work and they're like, well, I'm going to try real estate. They put it out on Facebook. I just got my real estate license. Hey, let me sell your home for you. Okay, well, do you really want to make maybe the biggest financial transaction of your life with somebody who just wants to give this a shot? Or do you want to work with people who sell upwards of 15 times more homes than any other real estate agent in the St. Louis area, the typical real estate agent, who are invested in this community, who know the community, who are willing to tell you, hey, you can get a better return on investment or a better deal if you hold off and wait, which is what they told me. And it turned out to be absolutely true. So people who have built a successful business because they do it the right way. Anybody can go on their computer system that real estate agents pay a fee to subscribe to and look up homes for you. Anybody can type in the number of square foot or the number of bathrooms. Anybody can do that. But it takes somebody who understands this complex process to empower you and your family to get top dollar for your home when you're selling and get the best deal when you're buying. That's Rodney and Jen, and they're passionate about it. Give them a call today, 314-810-SOLD. Once again, 314-810-SOLD. Just tell them your situation, even if you're just thinking about making a move. Give them a call, and by the way, either Rodney or Jen, one of them will pick up the phone, 314-810-SOLD, unless they're on the phone with somebody else, then they'll call you right back. That's their cell number. I'm literally giving you their cell number on the air right now. Give them a call, 314-810-SOLD, saying, hey, Mike was talking about on the radio. Here's my situation. What's your first impression? Which they'll give you, no obligation. And then if they need to look up something market specific, they'll say, we're going to look up some information. Let me call you back here in just a little bit. And then what's going to happen is you're going to be impressed with the integrity, with the honesty, and with the fact that you can be very comfortable with these people who are empowering you, this family who empowers other families. That's what the Wallners do. Give them a call today. 314-810-SOLD.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You cannot call the mama. I'm sure all the hand and I just around.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right, here we go. A rare unanimous decision from the Supreme Court gives Donald Trump a big win. The trial of the man accused of costing Janae Edmondson her legs begins today, and the Cardinals' $75 million pitcher had to leave yesterday's game early.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah. Hopefully it's nothing, but we'll find out here in a second. All right, it is 8:26 right now. U.S. Supreme Court rules the former President Donald Trump will be allowed to stay on GOP primary ballots across the country. That is after Colorado's Supreme Court found him ineligible, and the High Court struck that down. The former president responding to the ruling at a speech that he gave at Mar-a-Lago.
You cannot take somebody out of a race. The voters can take the person out of the race very quickly, but a court shouldn't be doing that, and the Supreme Court saw that.
And, of course, this was the Colorado case. So the Colorado Secretary of State, who started the whole mess by saying that Donald Trump is ineligible per the 14th Amendment, she took a big old 9-0 loss on this particular ruling, and she went to MSNBC
to cry about it.
And plead her case. Here is a Colorado, I think this is Secretary of State. I wrote down Attorney General, but I think it's Secretary of State Jenna Griswold on MSNBC.
My larger reaction is disappointment. I do believe that states should be able, under our Constitution, to bar oath-breaking insurrectionists. And ultimately, this decision leaves open the door for Congress to act to pass authorizing legislation. But we know that Congress is a nearly non-functioning body. So ultimately, it will be up to the American voters to save our democracy in November.
No. No to the first part. There were several true things she said at the very end of it. At the very end, she's like, yes, it'll be up to the voters, which is supposed to be, because that's how a democratic process works.
She didn't realize it, but she was literally debating herself and losing.
And by the way, she was wrong at the very, very, very end, because we're not a democracy; we're a constitutional republic.
That's true. Yeah, I hate the constant reference to our democracy. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is a danger to democracy. It's like, you know what? I think in the same way that they push the whole insurrection narrative, they're pushing the democracy narrative, and I think there's a reason behind it. I'm just wondering what it is.
A democratic process.
There's a democratic process. That's
different than a true democracy.
That's right.
California wants to be a true democracy in a lot of ways, and you see the mess that they're in.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Are you scared yet? By the way, if you want to hear a much more coherent argument regarding the Supreme Court ruling, then check out the News Talk STL podcast and our conversation a little bit earlier today with one of Donald Trump's top lawyers, Will Scharf. Of course, he's running for Attorney General Missouri, but we talked about this ruling with him, and that's going to be available in our podcast here in a little bit. Are you scared yet?
Oh, no.
You scared? Yet another possible partial government shutdown is, what is it? It's looming. So while the antics of Congress are ridiculous, that's true, former White House economic advisor Stephen Moore tells us that at some point, the political grown-ups have to restrain spending and set up some kind of responsible long-term budget for the national government.
They're arguing about whether we should save 10 or 20 or $30 billion. And that's fine. But, God, we have to cut hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars out of this budget. We got to get the economy moving again. So I feel like this is just kind of arguing around the fringes of a political earthquake that we have to wake up, America, because this is as serious as a heart attack what's going on in our country with the amount of debt that we're adding day after day after day after day.
Okay, so I always have to give a courtesy credit where we got that sound from. Oh, us, News Talk.
Yeah, we did that. We did, yeah. That's
all right, the trial of Daniel Riley starts today. He's accused of causing the downtown St. Louis crash that robbed Janae Edmondson of her legs just over a year ago. Riley, remember, he was free on bond in a robbery case at that time, and he had violated the conditions of his release many times, as in dozens and dozens of times he violated the conditions of his release. In addition to the criminal charges against Riley, who was 21 years old when the crash happened, the Edmondson family is suing the city of St. Louis, and I hope they clean the city's clock on that lawsuit.
Absolutely. That the ankle monitor did, nothing.
Well, the ankle monitor did its job in telling them that he was violating the conditions of his release. They just chose not to do anything about it.
True. It did something. It just meant nothing.
Absolutely.
There you go.
The trial is expected to wrap up by the end of the week. Janae Edmondson will be in the courtroom. Her mother posted on their GoFundMe page on an update saying that this will be the first time she's ever actually seen him in person. So this is going to be a really tough day for her and the entire Edmondson family.
Yeah, pray for her.
Yeah, they do expect, like I said, the trial to wrap up this week. Okay, the Cardinals lost to the Nationals in spring training yesterday, but it's spring training. Who cares about that? Final score was 1-0. But here's the story, though. Pitcher Sonny Gray, who the Cardinals put on, I think it was a 3-year deal for $75 million. And he's supposed to anchor, be the guy for the pitching. He was pulled from the game in the second inning because of a sore hamstring.
Oh, no.
Talking about that, we are concerned.
Yeah, that's not something you want to hear. Now, here's the thing. There's no word yet whether there's any concern beyond that. This could be absolutely nothing. So it could have just been a precaution. The day before was leg day. He was a little tight.
Right.
It happens, believe me.
Yeah.
But they want to make sure, because a hamstring thing is tough to come back from on that. But if it's just a matter of, it was sore, it was tight, we didn't want to take any chances, great, fantastic. We'll know when he pitches again in a few days. So
especially if it's his push-off leg.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
Right.
I don't know which leg it was.
I don't either. But here's the thing. Don't freak out over it.
Everybody stay calm.
Don't freak out.
Stay calm.
But what was the weak link last year for the Cardinals?
Pitching.
It was pitching. All right. So don't freak out.
Stay calm.
It may be nothing. I'm saying stay calm. Stop. Calm down. Don't freak out over this.
Don't freak out, anybody.
Separate note here. This is really weird. Spring training's what, 2 weeks old now? 3 weeks old now?
A couple weeks. They're 3 and 5 so far.
Cardinals have not hit a single home run in spring training yet.
8 games, no home runs.
No home runs.
Excuse me?
No home runs.
Guys.
Nothing.
Guys.
I mean, if you're saving them up for the regular season, fine.
I mean, I'll take that, but come on.
Not one. You're pitching against guys who are going to start in Double-A. Hit some home runs.
Have a breezy day in Florida. One of them's bound to fly out.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
A cold front slides through this morning. Spotty rain and storms slowly coming to an end, but stubborn clouds going to hang on for most of the day. Now behind this front, temperatures drop into the 50s and kind of hold steady there through the afternoon. Much cooler than yesterday's highs in the 70s. Partly cloudy and dry tonight, down to 43 early Wednesday morning. We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies. Tomorrow's high 62. More rounds of rain on the way from Thursday afternoon into Saturday morning. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
16 states plus American Samoa cast their primary ballots today, and the only question I have is, will Nikki Haley win a single state? I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood Parkway, Suite 310, Town and Country, Missouri, 63017. CordellCordell.com.
Today is Super Tuesday. 16 states plus American Samoa cast their primary ballots today, and unlike years past, neither side has an abundance of choice. Today we'll give candidates their biggest delegate haul in the process, and we'll get both Trump and Biden just that much closer to clinching their respective nominations. And yes, Nikki Haley is still, for whatever reason on God's great green earth, still running. She doesn't represent the Republican base, the America First principles, or a snowball's chance in hell, but she is still an annoying little roadblock standing in Trump's way. As for the other side of the aisle, Joe Biden has gone basically basically unchallenged, at least for now. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This whole primary process is smoke and mirrors. The real action will take place at the DNC convention in Chicago this summer. That is when, if my hunch is correct, California Governor Gavin Newsom will ascend to his greasy throne. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
Hello, my name is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, where you can find us online at claymangroup.com, KLAMEN group.com. Do you have a house that you'd like to sell as is and not deal with the market? Maybe you have a tenant not paying the rent or a house in disrepair and you want a simple solution for your sale? We've been in business for over 88 years and we've helped thousands of people sell their house in as-is condition with no middleman involved. Reach out today at claymangroup.com, KLAMEN group.com, and receive an offer today.
It's a new year, so come check out the great financing offers going on now at Seavers JCB. Rates as low as 0.99% on nearly all JCB compact construction equipment, including the industry-leading JCB Teleskid. For details, go to SeaversJCB.com. Mini excavators, track loaders, small wheel loaders, and even the industry-leading JCB compact load all range. Seavers JCB has them all. Visit SeaversJCB.com for more information.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
I have a personal story about why I trust McGuire Moving and Storage. A relative needed to escape an unhealthy relationship. Josh, Christine, and the McGuire team were understanding, even comforting. That's why I'm honored to endorse McGuire. Since 1935, McGuire's been moving and caring for families. So, moving a home, office, local, or long distance. McGuireMoving.com. McGuireMoving.com.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Let the American people see what's going on here.
News Talk STL.
Pay close attention.
St. Louis is number one.
Bottom line is this. St. Louis is number one.
For conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Could you whisper in my ear the things you want to feel?
This one's taking me back to college. Is this Goo Goo Dolls?
It is Goo Goo Dolls.
The Slide. Yeah. That's a pretty good band, Goo Goo Dolls. There were some good bands in the 90s.
Yeah. Great songwriter with the band, whose name I can't remember right now, but he's come through St. Louis as a solo artist a couple times. Because our music director at Y98 really loved his solo stuff, too. It's kind of a...
Is it the singer?
Yes.
I can picture him.
Yeah.
His hair looks like a bale of straw. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That guy.
Really nice guys in the band. And I'm thinking Jen Myers was our music director.
Yeah,
she was from Buffalo. The band's from Buffalo. So
okay.
I think that's why she really liked them. But they are
a
good
good
band.
band. It was a good band. Them and Soul Asylum and Gin Blossoms were some of my favorites from the 90s. There was another band called Veruca Salt.
Oh, yeah.
Tony and Katie play their bump music every once in a while. I like them too.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much a gal band, isn't
yes,
it?
Yes, it is. Yep, exactly.
They might be from Chicago now that I think of it. I could be wrong on that. I'll have to look them up just for fun.
I know better than I would. Yeah, they had some good stuff
band.
out there. All right, 8:38 right now. Okay, so about an hour ago we mentioned this, Gabe.
Yeah.
And man, did people have a lot of response to this.
Mm-hmm.
This hit a nerve, man.
Okay.
Okay. So the city of St. Louis has a program called the St. Louis Agency on Training and Employment, or SLATE.
Right.
Which fine.
Okay.
Great. That's
Sure.
Ideally, the nonprofit sector would handle, job training and job placement and job coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But if a city does it, they're probably not going to do it as well.
Right.
But okay, I don't really have a beef with that. And something else they have called the Fathers and Families Support Center, or at least that's an organization in St. Louis. But what we have here is a city program funded by COVID ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA money.
Yeah, and that's already got my alarm bells ringing. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, so I'm laying that as a foundation for what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
All of the money that we're talking about involved with this is money that you are paying for.
It's the COVID slush fund that that raised the price of chicken.
Exactly. It is the COVID slush fund that is borrowed money that we're still paying for.
Yes.
And the city of St. Louis and this Fathers and Family Support Center have decided that it's a great idea to have you, with your taxpayer money, pay other people's back child support.
I don't like it.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't like it. Like the immediate. I get the how the kids say. It gives me the ick.
Yeah. Okay. So, but and 314-912-1019. Here's the thing. It's same thing. I think this is kind of gross.
Yeah.
Now, I'm also going to say I actually understand the logic.
Oh yes.
And to somebody who's a leftist, they're probably saying, wait a minute. It's an investment.
Mm-hmm.
Because the carrot is that you come in and you agree to go through a job training or skills training program and go through like a job search sort of job coaching thing so that you can go get a full-time job and then you can pay your damn child support.
Yeah. I mean, and I could even hear the arguments towards conservatives that say, hey, you want them to pick up themselves up by the bootstraps. We're just helping them get better boots.
Right.
Like, okay, fine.
And the money's going to go to the mom and the kid.
Right. Yeah, that's another one. Yes. Like, who benefits from the money?
Right.
The mom and the kids.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. The responsibility is on, in 99% of the time, the dude, or 95%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I talk about my ex leaving, and I am the exception. Okay.
Yeah,
so
quite.
It's it is what it is. But here's the thing: is this is taxpayer money to tell a deadbeat dad, you know what? Go to these classes, and we'll pay your back child support.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do it.
Right.
You don't even have to worry about. We'll do it. So I understand, and I actually acknowledge the logic that's being used. Okay, so taxpayers are going to pay for this, but he might go get a full-time job and get off the dole, and he'll actually pay his child support. Okay, I get that.
Oh, yeah.
So the question is, even if that happens in a handful of cases, which it probably will, that may make for a better balance sheet overall. I just hate the fact that taxpayers busting their butts. I worked 3 frickin' jobs when I was a single parent for 14 years. There were times I never had less than 2. Well, I most of the time had never less than 2 until I got my first, bigger contract in radio. But I worked at least 2 jobs most of that time, 3 jobs sometimes to do what I had to do.
You sound Jamaican.
Yeah.
Sorry.
To do what I had to do.
Yeah.
And nobody took care of what I should have been paid.
Right.
Because I didn't expect anybody to. It wasn't your job.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, some dude, in St. Louis City isn't paying his child support, saying I'm down on my luck, despite help wanted signs everywhere. I can't go find a job, despite the fact, again, everybody's begging for employees and they've lowered their standards.
A lot.
The fact that taxpayers are getting you caught up on the taxpayer dime and not yours really bugs me.
Yeah. And when we were talking about this earlier, it kind of, it set me off just because there's so many broken systems upon which this thing is built.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where I've gotten to the point where I just want to say no to every new program.
Right.
Regardless.
Now, let me argue against you and I, because you and I see the same way.
Yeah.
Is this something that sincerely probably has good intentions?
I can definitely see the good intentions. Yeah. I can definitely see that if you approach this with the presupposition that the way the system is set up, it's just like, this is just how it is. This is how child support works. This is how the jobs programs works. We're already paying the mom and the kid from other programs because they're not getting the child support that they need. So we might, instead of putting the money through this program, we'll put the money through this program, and in the meantime, we might help raise up the standard of living of the dead. I can see that logic all day, kind of like what you were saying. I can totally see that upon the broken foundation of our current system, this program looks attractive.
Yeah. It does create additional dependence on government.
It does.
They're arguing that they're becoming self-sufficient, and there are going to be some who do if they do it right.
Sure.
There may be a guy who's just simply down on the line. There may be an extraneous case. He was in a car wreck. He got sick.
Right.
He got laid off. Whatever the case is.
Right.
There are those ancillary sort of cases out there, but for the most part, what we're dealing with are guys and I mean guys,
Mm-hmm.
who just didn't do what they're supposed to do, and now we're going to end up paying for it.
Yes, and they're going to benefit from the free training and from the 5K coming off of their arrears.
Yeah. And, of course, Righty here on Rumble, he says, the big question is, what is the administrative cut to run this boondoggle and who benefits?
There it is.
Again, a very evergreen question. You can ask that pretty much about any of these programs.
That was, oddly enough, Righty, that was in the back of my mind as well, because that's what happens with these programs. It's somebody's cousin, somebody related to somebody who wrote the bill, or somebody who came up with the idea. It's like, you know what, I got a family member, I don't know, I've got a lover, like, Fannie Willis, who I want to put into this position. So they're going to have a six-figure job administrating that new program.
Okay, so I know that there's somebody, because I know we have a lot of folks on the left and Democrats who are listening, and I'm glad you are. If they were to call in, they would go, well, what's your solution?
Right.
Okay, how about this? If you want to have a pro bono sort of situation, or you want to have a program, how about this? Let's pay for some law school, graduate students who are about to enter. You know what? You're gonna go into the court that the Child Family Services court, saying this person's going through job training. Instead of just paying off up to $5,000 of his back child support, say we'd like to structure a payment plan because he's agreed to do this job training program, and then still make them responsible, but make it more attractive to go through the program while not relieving him of his responsibility to take care of his child, instead of passing on his responsibility to the rest of us who work at least one full-time job, if not more than one, two jobs.
Oh yeah, graduated payment plans, things like that.
Something.
Exactly. And look, I'm all for job training programs. I'm a big advocate for those types of that type of help to go towards people who maybe are unemployable. They're underemployed, for their age group. They should have more experience. They should have more skills. But for whatever reason, they just don't have those things, or maybe they didn't have the opportunity. Whatever. I really love the programs that give people the skills with which to rise out of their current station. Right. I love those things.
Yeah.
But I want private organizations to run those.
Because their incentive, they succeed when they get people off of the dole.
Yes.
Remember, whatever office, to Righty Wright's comment here.
That's huge.
How do you judge your success within a government program? How many people you enroll in it. So the perverse incentive, to use an economic term, is you want as many people to be behind on child support as possible, so that you can enroll them in a government program and then claim success when they start go on and the government pays the back child support.
Reagan, I think it was Reagan who's talked about the closest man gets to immortality is a government program. And the reason for that is because if your program was created, if your job was created to solve a problem, it's in your interest to keep that problem at the forefront of everybody's mind, because every year you're going to ask somebody in government to increase your budget so you can give yourself a raise, give all the people you hired a raise, and you maybe even expand your office. You can get more power. That's the incentive for those things. For charities, for charitable people, the type of people who volunteer for these things, they would be so happy if the need for their organization disappeared tomorrow.
And then if you say, well, then what would they do? They have a self-interest. You do what the March of Dimes did. What was the March of Dimes originally founded to try to solve? To cure polio. Guess what? We found a cure for polio. So now they moved on and they said, we're going to address and try to I think what is it, birth defects or whatever it is. But there was something else the March of Dimes still does. They just said, we did that. We were instrumental.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Let's get a new mission.
Let's go.
Difference between private and public sector.
Absolutely.
All right, 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on this. Love to hear them. Otherwise, today's something? Super Tuesday.
It's not Temp Tag Tuesday?
Well, too.
That's the one. That's the one that's more important to me. Actually, Temp Tag Tuesday.
Have you noticed that it's Super Tuesday? 16 states voting today, and nobody gives a rip.
Collective yawn.
Yeah. So it's Super Tuesday, everybody.
Yay?
Maybe? I don't know. Somebody said, are you even going to, Nikki Haley doesn't have, I'm like, Nikki Haley's not even in the show today.
No.
Well, she is now. I just All right, but let's talk about Super Tuesday and the important part of it, which has to do with donuts.
Oh, yes.
I'll
good.
talk about that at
Okay.
8:51 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
By the way, we had a follow-up on the Google Dolls. Johnny Resnick is the
That's
guy's
what
name.
it is. Yep. Yep.
Don't you love the life you kill? The priest is on the phone. Your father hit the wall. Your mom disowned.
This is News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Kim Jones here with Dr. Kim Patton from Comprehensive Integrative Healthcare. Kim, you focus on the treating of neuropathy. What are the signs of neuropathy?
The most common symptoms are numbness, burning, cramping, usually in the hands and feet.
Tell me about the success you're having with your Restored Neuropathy Treatment Program.
Tim, our program includes 8 distinct steps, offering a unique experience from other treatments. No surgery, no addictive medications, and we are seeing a success rate of 95%.
Kim, that is incredible. How can people learn more?
Visit us online at CIH.health. That's CIH.health.
Columbo and Katie.
When it comes down to getting in the ballot box, Democratic voters vote for the Democrat.
Yeah.
Republican voters are typically more in tune with the policies of the candidates, not the party in general, of the candidates. And if they don't like a candidate, they won't vote for him. But you need to understand that the team that you're going against, they're going to vote for the letter no matter what.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. If you are sick and tired of the corporate news bubble, if you like unedited information free from corporate money, if you want straight talk with no script, join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on The Rob Carter Show.
Live and local weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Way back when in 67.
Back when I was in high school, 67.
The Steely Dan, right?
I'm sorry.
The Steely Dan?
It is.
Yeah.
A19.
A19.
Yeah.
One of the best lines in all of songs. She don't know Aretha.
Vic loves these guys. He's a big Steely Dan fan.
Yeah, my wife Rachel is too. You know, and she really loves this song. All right, 8:53. So we got a few minutes here. By the way, I just saw Ken Williams walk by.
Yeah,
he's back from the dead.
I don't want to hug him though. I'm afraid to give him a hug.
I mean, I'm glad he's back, but stay the hell away from him. I mean, seriously, the guy's been sick for a week and a half. All right.
Hey, I haven't seen you since the plague.
Only in radio do we make fun of people who are sick for a week and a half.
Because we love them.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So he's back in with Vic today, starting at 9:05. It's funny because today is Super Tuesday, and in a normal election cycle, if there is such a thing anymore, we would be wall-to-wall elections everywhere today, and collectively, I am sensing, even in the Super Tuesday states, people are like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
Right,
Yeah. I'll do that on the way home when I pick up the milk in the
yeah.
the grocery store, yeah, whatever.
But it's kind of funny because apparently Krispy Kreme donuts, I saw a thing on one of our news service things we subscribe to. Apparently Krispy Kreme is giving away 2 donuts for Super Tuesday. Get it? Tuesday, 2 donuts. So if you run through Krispy Kreme, apparently they are. Now, if the local ones aren't doing it, don't get too mad at me. Just pay your $1.25 and take the donut. But it sounds like they're actually giving away 2 donuts. And, of course, you may say, that's a lot of donuts they're giving away. But, I mean, obviously they're hoping you buy a cup of coffee or something, too.
Yeah.
But apparently Krispy Kreme's all over the country. It doesn't have to be a Super Tuesday state. You can actually go in and just get a couple donuts through their drive-thru.
But I would guess if you compared Krispy Kreme locations with the states that are voting today, I bet there's a lot of crossover there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I try not to eat the sugary stuff, and I've lost a little bit of weight lately. And so, but I'm thinking about those donuts now, Krispy Kreme.
Curse you, Krispy Kreme.
I think it's like just the basic glazed donuts, which are good enough. But see, I'm a sucker for like the ones with the icing and the sprinkles on it.
Oh, yeah, the sprinkle.
When I'm around donuts, I become an 8-year-old child again.
They have to have the colorful sprinkles.
It does. It does.
Each sprinkle tastes different.
Yeah. So Super Tuesday here. I mean, there is absolutely no state where anybody thinks this is going to be within 20 points between Trump and Haley. Nobody.
No.
Nobody thinks that. We'll find out tomorrow whether Nikki Haley is going to continue to be a side note on anything. I don't know if she's going to keep going out. She's smart enough to know that this thing has an end date on it.
Right.
And it's sooner rather than later. But after this, here's my question. After Super Tuesday, now Trump is not going to, even if he sweeps all of them, he still doesn't get the 1,200 and whatever officially. So he's not officially the presumptive nominee, quote unquote, means that you have secured that many delegates.
Right.
It just means they haven't actually gone to the convention and voted.
Right.
But it means you're the person that was picked.
Are there 800 and some available today?
Something like that. Yeah. Which puts him over 1,000 if he wins all of them, which he's not going to win all of them. Nikki Haley will get some. So, but it's going to be mathematically nearly impossible for Nikki Haley to win because she would have to flip the trends overnight and completely do a 180
in the remaining states.
So after today, basically, do we simply shift our focus and now it really is just about the general election?
I would think so.
I mean, it's been that way for a while, but
well,
you know.
Yeah, exactly. I think Super Tuesday, and I've been anticipating this, with Super Tuesday coming. I was looking at the delegate counts, and I was like, wait a minute. If the polls are to be believed, which so far they've been relatively
better,
relatively accurate considering the previous years. If they're to be believed, it's mathematically impossible post Super Tuesday.
Precisely, but you've noticed that there's just been a collective sort of
right
on the campaign and the election, and I don't think it's going to stay that way. I think people are going to get fired up through the summer towards the general election.
Oh yeah, I think everybody's waiting for the general.
Yeah, I think everybody's holding their energy and they're kind of keeping their powder dry.
It's that Braveheart scene. Hold.
That's right.
Hold.
Yeah. All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way here at 9:04 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
And the return of Ken Williams.
I am an atheist. I really am a liberal, but I'm also a conservative.
No matter your side.
I'm a Democrat. I'm just a bit angry, frustrated conservative.
No matter your inclination.
I'm probably a liberal, maybe more in the middle.
We are here for your place to talk about it.
I'm the progressive liberal Democrat that you said is afraid to call you.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
I'm sure we'll have a robust conversation.
News Talk STL.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their